for Port Adelaide, so maybe they are a little bit taller down there and can expose Port in the air, because last week they were really disappointing. We know they got Membry across to the football club to be that medium type, third tall behind McStay and Mycheck. So can they stand up and most importantly, kick a score to win a game?
I think Willem Drew needs to have a big night. He'll be the one that goes to Nick Dacos early. He'll get first opportunity of trying to shut him down. It's not necessarily the volume, it's the damage. So if you can keep him to 20 to 25 touches, and even take 30 with no damage, not allowing him to get the 1-2s and create that over that, he'll be the man that goes to him and stoppages early. Let's see if he can do it.
Another intriguing game as well happening on Channel 503. That's under the lid at Marple Stadium. The injury hit Western Bulldogs against North Melbourne. Give me your tips, boys, for both games tonight. Let's start with Collingwood and Port.
I'm staying with the home team, Collingwood. I think they'll bounce back. What they showed last week wasn't them. And the doggies, for me, against all odds, everyone says they can't, but they'll find a way.
Well, I'm 1 from 2 today. I'm going to go Port by 6 points. I think Port will play a good game. I'm not convinced on Collingwood and their speed yet. And I'm predicting an upset under the roof at Marble Stadium. I think North Melbourne, this is their time to really grow up as a football club.
Yep, I've gone the same. I've gone Pies and North Melbourne. But look at the atmosphere at the MCG. You can almost feel the tension coming through the TV, can't you?
This is big. This is big for Collingwood. You can't start 0-2. I mean, this is a club that are trying to bounce back. They say their time is now. They don't want to go back to the draft. They want to win now.
They're chips in, aren't they?
They're chips in. This is important. This is a must-win.
This is must-win for Collingwood. There's the skipper. Let's hand it over to our commentary team, led by Jason Dunstall.
Thank you, Kath. Welcome to Super Saturday Live. Brought to you by Toyota. The footy's back. Oh, what a feeling. And this is spectacular. A massive home crowd here. Nick Del Santo sitting alongside me. The heat policy is in action, Dal. So there's an 8-minute break at quarter time and three-quarter time.
Yes.
This is very, very warm conditions. But let's forget the heat. This is D-Day for Collingwood, and we're only in week 2.
Well, the heat is on. We were down there earlier. It is still hot out there. And we've been hearing about the Pies and what happened last week. What a great opportunity to bounce back. Similar to last year, they didn't start off well. That was off the back of the premiership the year before. You don't want to go 0-2 up against a couple of teams that you think you should be around the same mark. So a great opportunity for Fly McRae to get this group back in track.
What about the boom recruits that are being trotted out tonight? Former Port Adelaide star Dan Houston makes his Collingwood debut, and it just happens to be against his old team.
Well done to the AFL for organising that one. He's had his suspension. He misses the first round last week, but here he is. He's a known entity. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. I was at Icon Park a couple of weeks ago in that Precca match against the Tigers. He was off half-back with Josh Dacos, and they were damaging. It was the need for speed, and they were exceptional. Can they do it again?
And that man there in shot, Jack Lukosius, talented utility, because he can play anywhere. He has played anywhere, but he looks like he'll be holding out a key forward post for Port Adelaide.
Been in the system a long time, still untapped. We're still waiting for the consistency and to really know what his ceiling is. There's been some significant change in the forward line for Port. He might be the answer. He might be the missing piece that might change their dynamic going forward.
Darcy Byrne-Jones plays game number 200 for Port. Another one that's gone through some changes. I think he was All-Australian at half-back. He's now one of the small forwards.
Yeah, and this is the evolution of this young man, but also the modern game. You've got to be able to play multiple positions. He's done an incredible job. You mentioned the All-Australian going back a few years ago. 200 games is a great effort, so we wish him all the very best, Chief.
Very excited to see the man taken at pick number 15 by Port Adelaide last draft, and that is Joe Berry. Yeah. He looks a star.
He does, and there's no reason you have to wait. Where we saw a young man down at the Cattery today for Freo that just burst onto the scene. There's no reason you can't bring that under-18 form straight into this competition. He was picked 15. He plays that small forward pressure role. So like every debutant, you wish him all the very best.
It should be an absolute thriller tonight. We've got a couple of superstars patrolling everything from a ground level. It's a very good evening to Eddie Betts and the man with the best smile in the world, Brad Johnson.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, it's brilliant down here. Not a breath of wind as well. A little bit hot, but the players will adapt to that. No dramas. I want to focus on Jason Horne-Francis, Ed, because last year this man had 522 disposals. He kicked 27 goals, had 71 tackles. He works on the defensive side of his game as well, which I know Ken Hinkley loves, and 138 clearances. But he's got the power, he's got the strength to be the best player in the competition. We understand that. How quickly will that come? Well, it could come this year, because if he can make a rise on those sort of numbers that I just read out, then look out, he will be an absolute elite performer throughout the entire home and away
He's
season.
an absolute beast, and wonder if he'll start on today, because he started off in the first 5 minutes and then he comes on. So for me, Jono, I'm looking at the tall forwards. So I'm looking at Dan McStay, Tim Membry, and Brody Lightchen. Just the way that they played last week, they just didn't get themselves into the game. And we heard about what Jack just spoke about the big four just before, is that they need to kick a score to win. And it's the way that they lead, the way that they work together, that synergy. So keep my eye on those big four tonight.
Yeah, they've certainly got the smalls as well down at ground level once the bigs get to work. Howie and Hutto not too far away here. Both captains found their way into the middle of the ground. Darcy Moore wins the toss and look for a big game from the skipper tonight as well. Watch him attack the contest in the air and take some big grabs for the Pies and start their attack from defence. Howie and Hutto.
Houston and Sullivan come into the Pies side. Lukosius, Berry and Richards play their first game. Jason Dunstall, Nick Del Santo. The big story is Scott Pendlebury is the sub.
Yeah, and a lot of people sit there and go, what are they doing? Surely, they're not starting to put pressure on Pendles, but they play 3 games very quickly at the start of the season. There are short breaks between them, and I think it's just trying to manage the legs that have had so many miles in them. Have a look at that. Yeah. We normally see smiles when they come up the race, and they're very, very jovial and happy and experiencing everything that they like to experience out there. This is a different mindset. How good are the cameras taking you right inside that huddle?
That'll be the key points. The first 5 minutes, what can you control? What do they need to focus on? And often it's about getting your hands on the football, but it's also not about giving away silly free kicks. Scott Pendlebury has played a lot of football. Walking to an area of the ground, he doesn't spend a lot of time, Chief.
It's the break glass in case of emergency. Let's hope there's no emergencies early.
It's not the worst break glass as well. A man that can play anywhere.
So only moments away from the season beginning for Port Adelaide and Collingwood. With that man, bit of extra pressure after he suffered that cramp last week. Will he be tagged tonight? So many questions. The answers aren't far away. Dan Houston in new colours for the first time.
Willem Drew right next to Nick Dacos in the middle of the ground.
The last lap begins for Ken Hinkley. Port Adelaide's only home and away fixture at the MCG this year. Will they be here in September?
So Willem Drew at that stoppage. Nick Dacos puts his hands up to the umpire, says, I'm being held. I suspect that is going to be the battle for much of the night.
Rick McGuinness onto Georgiades at full forward. Ball heading the other way. Nick Dacos, misfires on the kick feed. There to step in.
Mark that down in your diary. It doesn't happen very often, Hutto. Nick Dacos missing a target.
Great to see the return of this man. Sam Pepper in his knee in round 3. Last year against St Kilda, he's back there. There's the early fly from Georgiades. Bert Jones and his 200s. Moore following up his words with actions. Handball from Rosie. Gets it out to Lukosius. What a start! And his new club, Jack Lukosius. Straight under the boot, straight through the middle. That will feel as good as any goal he's kicked before.
You couldn't have scripted a better start for Port to have the new recruit, Jack Lukosius, kick the goal. I'm not sure it's the sweetest snap he's ever hit, because that would have been intended to go through on the full, I suspect. He caught it very close to the end of the ball, which is why it went so heavily end over end and low, but he had it on target, sneaks it inside the post. A great start for Port Adelaide, because there's a big Collingwood crowd here ready to get on board.
A real nerve settler. Off the back of 116 games for the Suns. He's been the swingman, so he's even kicked 79 goals previous to that one. So it's not a foreign part of the ground.
But he's never owned a spot.
Correct.
Nick, has he?
Correct, but this can be his, Chief. There's been significant change off the back of last year.
7:36 local, still 32 degrees. Horn Francis bursts through the middle, can't make contact. The players go back the other way. Schultz does well with the ground ball to Lipinski. Sweeping hand pass. Side bottom. Ducks inside. Pies. First entry. One-on-one contest. Elliott and Jones. The boundary line. We'll see him done.
Spoken about Willem Drew, and he's rolled tonight on Nick Dacos. He will not leave his side. Perriman's going to go to Horn Francis. So the brains trust of the Pies have identified him as their most damaging midfielder.
Interesting there. Logan Evans just putting a little bit of physical contact on Nick Dacos as well, so it could be a team thing. Jones watching Elliott and McStay got to the ball first. And he scored it out.
It's an interesting conversation about how to minimise Dacos's influence on the game. And maybe physicality might be the only area that he still needs to evolve in. He's a lighter frame. He's exceptional with his agility.
Another stoppage early. Sweet knocked out of position by McStay. Didn't get the rewards for his clever work in the run.
It's only early stages at the moment. We see the work, physical work between Will Drew and Nick Dacos, and I'm sure some of the other Collingwood players are stepping. Dan Houston appears to be picking up Sam Powell-Pepper, but no tag at this stage.
Richards, the former Pie, to some quiet booze. First year young player, Collingwood. Now he's at Port Adelaide. He's very short. Just joining us, Burton. He's the sub, and Pendlebury the sub for Collingwood.
First time for Pendlebury. 3 times he was subbed off last year. And Burton was the sub once last year for Port.
Good switch, Finlayson finds Aaliyah. He's got the runner. And Evans elects not to use a short chipping ball on the stretch. A bit too much on it for the coaches. Darcy Moore arrives. There's Sullivan in the number 33. Little toe poke. Aaliyah, big presence over the football. Good hands again. Lipinski wobbles another inside 50 ball. Drop though. Opportunity for Myercheck. Needs the bounce. Myercheck doesn't quite get it.
So we saw a lot of slipping last night. I'm sure they would have done the scouting as to how to adapt to that.
If he just had hung on to the ball for another split second, he would have seen the hand pass option running past. Would have been a certain goal for the Pies.
McStay, different method this time. Sweet used his height and bulk through Elliott's hands and Perryman, eventually Aaliyah. And Darcy Cameron was about to mark it. That Pepper was clever. There's Houston, putting it on a platter into the pocket. He finds McCreary.
Beautiful use for the ball, Dan Houston. I wonder if he was tempted just to tee it off then and blast one through, because we know he's got range. You can see there's a little bit of feeling out there.
It will be interesting to watch what sort of treatment he gets from his former teammates. Bowen McCreary, 10 goals, 10 in 17 games last year. Just kicked the one behind last week, a typical McCreary game. The chase, the tackling, the pressure, unfortunately, he can't get the finish.
And that's the interesting thing, until they get the scoreboard ticking over, they're still going to feel the pressure. The only way to release that is to start hitting the scoreboard.
Farrell wins his measure, and a little bit more as well. Booming left foot kick over the centre of the MCG. Saw the Hawks with a set play last night. Works well to Lukosius. Rioli tries to get his man under. Rioli does. McInnes comes back with a bit of support. Read it well. That's a brilliant set play. It is. One of the best kicks in the competition. And Farrell might have gone a little bit too far.
I want to measure that.
Might have.
Minimum 20 metres.
But they've got field position.
Using the Jared Healy method, each little strip is 10 metres, so
he ran nearly 3 of them.
And he ran 25 as a bare minimum. Drew. Rosie into the 200 gamer. He hung on, but not quite long enough. Josh Dacos now at half-back with Lipinski. Alongside in, there's a bit of a jumper take there, and it's a Collingwood, it's a Port Adelaide free. You can see just the extension of the 28.
Braden Maynard looks a little bit sore after that contest.
So Drew to go back and have the shot. Starts his move from outside. It's a pretty good kick. It doesn't miss by much.
So Jason Horne-Francis has come from the ground. Perryman, his direct opponent, looks like he's got the roll on him tonight, will not leave the ground with him. So that'll be different to what we're going to see with the Nick Dacos tag. Houston drags it to the near side, looks for Chris. Scored away from him. Chris continues on his merry way, his 239th straight game of football.
Closing in on it, isn't he? Was he half a dozen away?
From Jim Steins. Extraordinary numbers. Good battle between the rucks. Cameron, Sweet, Rosie, clever hand pass out to the big fella. Doesn't quite get the bounce he's after. Butters up at ground level. Sends it back in the path of Rosie, who is dumped by Perryman.
Giants looking to respond to their 52-point loss in opening round. Remembering last year they went 0-3, lost to Sydney in round 2 after going down to the Giants in similar fashion. Quick kick side bottom, hustled it forward. They're really trying to take the mark. Membry slick onto the boot, a perfect waiting for Schultz. Good combat from Logan Evans, now runs into Burgoyne, close to the line, and that I thought would have been his ideal location. Kept it in. And there, after getting it from Evans, back to a one-on-one. Dacos was immovable, couldn't get around. Dusty Burn-Jones there, much to his frustration. Short on the kick, touched, long took it, turned, kicked towards full forward. Good physical stuff from Jeremy Finlayson, who's found a new home. Mind you, his first 18 games and his first couple of years with the Giants, he was a defender. Got switched in round 3, 2019, and kicked 5 goals against the Tigers, and no wonder they never moved him.
Well, he had a great pre-season, that particular game against St Kilda. Did a great job across half-back.
Big presence of Sweet, no one contest with him. Jones, whipping ball out of defence. Darcy Moore gets front position, fist down to the running Houston. Back to Cameron, nice little bit of sizzle from the big fella. Drops a long ball forward, Schultz stays down. Winds, hand pass goes a touch astray. They've got men out. Membry outside of the boot. Timmy Membry nails the first for the night for the Pies.
Tit for tat. One big name recruit. The Oceans kicks the first goal for Port, and now one of the recruits from a different club, ex-Kilda player Tim Membry, who I think is a fantastic pickup. I think he's just what Collingwood needs to give them another point of focus up forward. He gets up and up the ground, pushes back, he works hard, and he can kick those sort of goals. So it's something different that they've been missing, and that'll settle his nerves. And tell you right now, there are a lot of Collingwood fans here that want to get involved in this game, but they need to see something.
And yeah, see straight kicking, that'll be a great start. It's great coordination of the body on the outside of that right foot. Controlling field position. I've had 6 inside 50s to Port's 2. And something this man's done very well for a long time is kick goals.
Coming in for tonight's game, of course, he played 1 game with Sydney, 1 game with Collingwood, and 179 with St Kilda. Now, it's going Port's way out of the middle. Wines, the 30-year-old, kicks to full forward. Georgiades outnumbered. And Jeremy Howe, ever reliable, takes the mark. Quainer floats the kick effectively. Oh, unexpectedly, Chris drops the mark. Boak still got all the desperation and determination after all these years. Sin had to force the handball long, taken down fiercely by Wines. Still goes closer to Collingwood goal. McCreary gave and got it back from Sullivan, and there was enough little gaps and cavities in the front 50. And Tim Membry takes the mark.
Well, they're going to get exposed out the back if they can't control the football through the middle of the ground. They're running in waves, Port, and they think they're winning possession, but on turnover, they're getting exposed. Haven't paid full price just yet. That's just good overlap football.
Doesn't have an amazing record against Port Adelaide, just 11 goals in 10 games. Tim Membry, last 3 occasions for St Kilda against them, 1, 1 and 0. But he already has 1 under the belt tonight. And when he's feeling it, he can deliver. Tim Membry making himself at home with the Collingwood faithful.
It's so exciting to see when you look for a piece of the puzzle and you go and recruit someone to fill a hole, and all of a sudden you see it pay off like this. And sometimes it's just the difference between converting and not converting. You kick 2 behinds, we're not taking any notice. You kick 2 goals, we're saying, well, this is perfect. His teammates are getting a lift out of it. Everyone thinks this is the perfect way it's supposed to happen. And he's proving a valuable pickup already.
Always had a good ability not only to finish the work, but to find little pockets of space. As that ball's coming through and flow, works back. It's an easy uncontested mark inside 50.
Did it surprise you St Kilda were happy to let him go?
I think there's the direction that the club's going, and the future that's needed, but a fantastic and savvy pickup by the Pies.
Drew still very tight on Nick Dacos. A little collision in the middle.
That's a man that doesn't do a hell of a lot of runs there. That is rucking 101 free kick.
And as a result, Nick Dacos got off the chain, looks for Bobby Hill off his chest, then does well. Burgoyne, he's smooth player, across to Horn Francis, always has the socks up, hooks it round the body and dumps it out on the foot.
Only once has to get back to the ball and he's got to touch it.
Still have to ask the question though, Hutto. He thought he didn't give away a free kick.
Yeah, 187 centimetre ruckman. Just let's fly. Elliott tries to fly, he may have interfered.
Still go back to the Richmond era of Sean Grigg that gives every small man hope that they could be the second ruckman in any premiership team.
And a lot of them have followed suit. They're at different stages. You pinch hit.
I think I remember one day Malcolm Blight having Trent Allen doing some ruck work for the Crows. He was one of the first short ruckmen. Long kick, outward bound, big fish from Maynard with authority.
And I suspect you ask yourself questions then, how do you think does my coach not like me? If he's throwing me in the ruck, am I the cannon fodder? But Ollie Wine's got such a strong build. Maybe not set of bounces, but pushing and shoving around the ground, he could do it easily.
Plenty of people watching the behaviour down there of Ken Hinckley and Craig McRae, the naughty boy coaches.
It's good to see them chat and laugh out the middle. No doubt they were having a bit of a chat about that in good-natured terms. They go deep again. Elliott's in a dangerous position. Mychek spoiled him in the end. Elias streaks out of defence. Looping hand pass to Burgoyne. He's got the further runner in Bergman. Elects to Short to Boak. Sweeping hand pass back to Wines, the old firm. It'll work out to Drew. Maynard gives him absolutely no room. Hammers him into the ground. The Pies should keep it in.
Dived on it, dragged it in. Nick Dacos had to go.
Slick hands from Boak. He could see what was ahead. It was Burgoyne and Hawk Francis and Rioli. Just relaxed a moment too early, but was able to hang on to the mark.
That's the right lead there by Rioli. It forced Howe to defend him.
And he quickly moves it. Oh, because Berry had jumped into the hole and takes the mark.
Well, Dan McStay was the acting ruckman and he was just jogging back into the hole, but he had his back to play. You've got to track the footy. He might have been able to cut that kick off. Beautiful kick from Rioli.
Kick 15 from Benella in country Victoria. He's got Dan Houston's number. They wanted to reshape their forward line. And he is part of it. Joe Berry, huge moment at the MCG, maybe a little too huge for the young left footer.
That's a shame, but we're going to see a lot of him. I mean, it doesn't matter who you're barring for. If you've watched him in the pre-season, you must have liked what you've seen.
Jeremy Howe with that knee bandage after a knock last week versus the Giants. Finds Darcy Moore, half back. Good crowd at the MCG as well. Continued to come in late. Just toe pokes it forward. And Hawk Francis was aware.
They had 65,000 here in the early game last year on a Saturday afternoon. And so there'll be that plus more, I think, tonight.
Perfect night for football. Maybe not for the players that are trying to
33 degrees.
find their legs and their lungs.
Shorts, T-shirts and thongs at the MCG tonight for those in the Adamics.
It will be for you.
Stay, correct. Just pokes the ball forward. Aaliyah overruns it. Memory's already got a couple. Good tackle. McCreary is ferocious. It's a top hot footy. Just rolling it forward, gaining good distance. Thin had no attempt at all to keep that in play. And the umpire pinned him.
It's the right thing to do, but he's just got to disguise it better.
Elliott squeezes a perfect ball forward over the top of two Port defenders, and the big boy from Traralgon is lining up for his third.
Middle niggle behind play. Willem Drew once again into Dacos, who's getting some support from teammates. This will be a fantastic start for Tim Emery, just to settle the nerves, not only for himself, but for the whole Pies off the back of the poor kicking last week.
Three-time leading goal kicker at the Saints. Signed a 2-year deal at the Pies. 19 games and 30 goals last year. We've already seen one beautiful set shot.
Memory has 3 in a row.
Well, we're seeing once again just the savvy, smart IQ of not only Tim Emery but the Pies. It's not about bombing it to the top of the goal scorer, it's about finding a man in space. And he gets on the end of his third.
Brett Johnson is downstairs. Jono.
Hi, Howie. It's off the back of pressure as well. Craig McRae spoke before the game in regards to they want to get their tackling pressure up. Only 38 last week. Pressure around the contest. They're fierce in front of us here on the members' wing, and that's how Memory was able to capitalise on that ball inside forward 50.
What a start. He's the youngest of the 6 30-year-olds for Collingwood tonight at 30 years of age, and there's the pressure. It's the DNA of Collingwood, as the coach said pre-game. It wasn't there last week with only 38 tackles. Back in the middle. And back with our regular ruckmen who know how to do it. Sweet tapped it away. Cameron, the only party to get coaches' votes last week, was just one. Maynard takes territory over Farrell's head, getting a little more dangerous. Lear patrolling across half back to Farrell. It's all in a rush. So eyes back to the middle. Sweet. Defended well by Maynard. Boak's hands still pretty good. Richards the ex-pie. Almost got it to the current pie and former port pie. Eventually that's what happened. Houston to Hill. Slippery ball. Big task for Josh Sin, who just wriggled his way clear. Drew loses his footing. Not the first and won't be the last. And the umpires have no sympathy on someone who loses their footing. If you think you've taken the mark and it's bounced, you get all the sympathy in the world. But if you slip over, it's just battle.
Pies. Transition it down the outer side. Lipinski. Now Hill gets an opportunity in front of the leader. Kicking a half from home.
The recruits have all started well. 3 to Membry, 1 to Lukosius. Half a dozen early possessions to Houston.
Squeezes into the pocket. Gee, it's a well-rated ball. And just dropping back with the flight. That's Brody Mychek.
Well, that's poor by the Port defence. They had time to get set up behind the football, get their preferred matchup, and you've got Horn Francis playing against Mychek in a one-on-one.
$19 last year, a few injuries. Mychek hits it absolutely perfectly. 4 in a row for Collingwood.
And now they're starting to get a bit of feel of things about Collingwood. And it's just echoing what John said before. Pressure starts everything. That is effort-based. That is attitude-based. You don't have to worry about, are we skillful enough? Do we have enough stars that can win the game off their own boot? What about 18 players out on the ground putting serious team pressure on the opposition? And that is what we're seeing from Collingwood at the moment. They didn't start particularly well, but they've got themselves in the contest now, and they are growing by the minute.
That's 13 inside 50s to 4. Brody Mychek, as how he said, those injuries probably stopping him from being their leading goal kicker again last year. Sweet with the tap, but straight down the throat of Dacos. Manufactured a kick forward. Farrell steps in front of Schultz.
It was good courage. I mean, it looked easy, but still running back with the flight, you never know what's coming.
His role even more important now that Dan Houston is a Magpie. Mead looks to feed it back, and Finlayson. All the short stuff, so it's a build-it-up play here with possession. Berry takes the mark and guides it to Jones. So 5 kicks, now the handball released so that Farrell can get it all the way to full forward. Power Pepper at the back. Footy didn't arrive. Houston weaving, handballing, being cheered with every step, every kick, and even every handball. High ball, Lear, hard man to jump over. Schultz, a shorter guy, but did pretty well to at least break even. Well, that was thrown forward by Bergman. Bodies on the line stuff. It's a stinger on Sullivan from Burn Jones, who dished it out. Still recovering. Blind handball earlier. Went to his old teammate. There might be a bit of that tonight. It's worked over the line and out of back.
Well, Sullivan's still down after that bump. Looks in a bad way. Hopefully it's just winded. That might be best case scenario. It was tough over the football. It was a great contest, both fair. Might have got him through the ribs.
One of 2 changes tonight for Collingwood. Came back into the team, basically replacing young Allen.
Oh, that's a solid hit, isn't it? Good fair contest, both players, eyes on the ball, turning side on, which is what the AFL would like you to do, avoiding head-high contact.
Play resumes. Dacos has scored to across the line. Houston leads all comers with 8. He's looked crisp, and there is Benro as Hutto title sub for the first time in his AFL career. In game 405, yes. Sweet. As well at ground level, gets away from McCreary. They edge it forward. Mychek tried to step around the lead, didn't have much luck. Rosie picks it up, scoops it out by hand. Here comes Farrell, who's got a beautiful boot, but elects to give it to the ruckman, who drives the ball forward. Good use of the body by Georgiades. Howe
It's an interesting call, Howie, why someone like Kane Farrell would hand pass to a stationary ruckman to kick the footy.
Oh, you like to reference it earlier, our old colleague Robert Walls. Oh, would not be happy with that. Throw it up, Sweet. Has a bit more dexterity actually than most ruckmen, to be fair. Cameron shows he can kick it away and just enough representation.
The only reason you include a ruckman in that passage of play is to get it back and get two disposals.
The give and get.
It's a little bit unhappy there, Nicky Sullivan. Got to cool off at least.
Let's hope he can continue.
6 minutes remaining in the opening term. The ruckman basically entwined and entangled there. Who's got the free? Sweet has. Farrell was looking for the little give at the back. We've got a few. Bergman will come up and offer the same, but Sweet's gone for a mid-ranger. Moore was ready for it. Burn Jones gets disposed of. Berry had no control. He lost his footing completely there.
The coach just needs to understand he was doing short leads, 10, 15 metres from the kicker, while Darcy Moore was filling back into the hole. Once you're not being engaged anymore, it's his responsibility to get back and create a contest.
Nick Del Santo, Jason Dunstall, Eddie Betts, Brad Johnson, Saturday Night Football. Chris makes the hand pass to Long. Now side bottom, doesn't have many options and doesn't get the one he was after. Straight to Bergman, and another man who's a beautiful kick. Looks him bored, nothing on at the moment. Still wants to try and get it to the top of 50. In the end, he elects to drop it. 20 from home. Sweet is the big target. Georgiades, always a good fly. Again, a very clean Houston. Although he had a second go at that time, and he's got.
Liverpool players telling him all about it.
And the free kick. We'll now see the kick with the ruckman Sweet, Jason.
There's nothing wrong with him kicking, Howard.
Okay.
But Kane Farrell's the best kick in the team. So he should be kicking it.
Traded for pick 50. Jordan Sweet, 206 centimetres tall. 4 goals last season in his 17 matches. Is to break a run of 4 from Collingwood. No problem at all. Needed for the Power.
Well, Chief, just their 8th inside 50 for the quarter. For the 2 goals too. And you touched on Pies' pressure. It has been exceptional. But that's what Port need.
Yeah.
They're having some flow. They've got a little bit of momentum. But it's the forward pressure. It can be from anyone. So he's in the initial contest, doesn't give up. 6 a great tackle. May not have been his. It might have been the coaches that might have just got hands on Houston first.
As soon as you bring that ball to ground from the marking contest, it's all in.
Yep.
Everyone's got to work so hard to kick the ball inside your attacking 50. And then he just second-guessed himself, Houston. He had a split second to perhaps throw it on the boot or shoot a hand pass out. He's trying to fashion something a little bit more constructive.
It's a pretty strong, quick call, isn't
Yeah,
it? Really?
but it was a very split second. It's just that he kind of got past the first arms coming at him.
Yeah, kind of.
And I must say, a nice kicking side for goal for a big
Yes.
guy as well.
No, he's definitely one of the best as far as ruckmen go. Because they are entertaining, aren't they? They make the set shot and they have time to think about it.
I find them amusing at times.
He wins the tap here. Sullivan not just back out there, winning the footy. And a direct path to goal. McStay to McCreary. Logan Evans again. They both did well to put the necessary pressure on and get it out.
Really pleased to see Lockie Sullivan back out there. He's worked hard to get this opportunity, mature age recruit that's come through the VFL system, and he just dominated there the last couple of seasons. He gets his opportunity. Last thing you want to do is get injured and be unable to play.
Yeah, 10 games as SSP player at the start of last season. Logan Evans has upgraded his number. That's always up from 43 to 22. That's a sign that the club are happy with your progress. There's Sullivan straight away showing his tackling prowess. Even for Houston, just a little far out. Lockie Jones, there's no one to stop him marking. He let it behind. Lipinski kicked 4 against Port last year, and he pops up with one here off the left. And the Pies, 3-goal leaders restored.
Good to see all the teammates getting over to Lockie Jones. I mean, that's a horrible mistake, that. You can't coach for that sort of thing. It just happens. You've got to shake it off and make sure it doesn't happen again.
We're also getting an understanding about Dan Houston's influence off half-back. That was not the handball to give running boundary side off the back of a slow play. It almost appeared like a no question give it to him. He kicks it to the same spot. Lipinski up to 8 disposals. Dan Houston's had 9. And for Port, Elise had 6, as has Kane Farrell. It's sweet.
Interesting that the Collingwood forwards didn't read where Houston was going to kick it. They don't quite know him yet, but beautiful kick of the footy, and he put it right in the dangerous spot. Just should have been an intercept mark.
Membry with 3 for the term. Lyons and side bottom, Rosie and Sullivan, Nick Dacos and Drew.
Well, the Pies forwards didn't know where it was going from Dan Houston, but I reckon that the defenders probably for Port should have.
Sweet uses his size. And towards Schultz, fresh airy. Gives an opportunity for Farrell. If it was gone in front of goal, that's got to be gone as well. It is.
Got to say, Will and Drew's doing a good job. Nick Dacos just the 5 touches, but no great impact at this stage. What does that mean?
It's a game within itself, trying to work out what the boards on the boundary line mean. I have no idea.
Was that a little armoured vehicle with the machine gun on top?
Was that attack? Defend. Houston seems to think it was attack, so sends a long ball deep forward. Dangerous out the back. Boak cleans up. Jones makes another mistake. Dangerous with Jamie. Out there! Something special for the number 5. Jones has had a couple of issues, and Collingwood have taken advantage both times.
Okay, now it's hard. Hard to recover. He's had a horror couple of minutes.
You've given him one, Jace, but
no, his teammates got around and said, mate, you dropped the mark, it's okay, we'll get the next one. Then you fumble. Perfectly good hand pass under pressure. And he's probably stiff that Jamie Elliott finishes from an almost impossible spot. That angle off the deck is incredible, but poor old Lockie Jones has just had a couple of minutes he needs to forget.
Score review. This could be Lockie Jones' saviour.
To flip the padding.
David Roden, the man.
Yeah. He doesn't get many wrong, David Roden.
Gee, looked good.
And they didn't gesture at all.
No, none of the Port boys signalled that it had done anything, that it was celebration. Just watching the
On the
runners.
edge, oh, there's a mark on the edge.
Looking at these angles, it says spike on edge as the ball passes the post. Decision on the scoreboard.
Lockie's back.
That's a minuscule spike too, isn't it? That's the barest of flicks.
Nick Dacos went to Lockie Jones too and gave it because Jones has tagged him previously. There's been a bit of physical between them already, so
Right now,
enjoyed it.
he feels like he's been let off.
Yes.
That's 99 edged, and the review saves you.
Yeah. So back with Jeremy Finlayson. Can roost a long ball, which he does. Sweet and Cameron. Sweet was facing towards his own goal, which made it a little more awkward, and Moore thumps it back, and they ask the question and say, well, is that not deliberate?
It's a question worth asking because it wasn't in the marking contest.
Yeah. Maybe there was enough Collingwood teammates close to the line, but last 3 minutes, see the edge that Collingwood have had at the clearances. Got another one here. They've got tall and Horn Francis let Chris to gallop away and then get it back from Hill, and on the curl it was both. It was just a step ahead. So all that experience. Boak on the way out. He gave him a good look, and Cameron happy to knock it forward to Chris. So they try again. Could he kick a 4 for the quarter memory? Both he and Boak slipped over at critical moments. All on that last line, clever fumble from Finlayson.
But there is a bit of fumbling happening out there. I suspect with the heat, it is very sweaty and breezy out there. So we cut him a little bit of slack in that respect.
It's actually started the game at 32. It's saying it's up to 33. So McGuinness with a very high ball inside. Tough one. Jones doesn't want to stand underneath it. Poor Finlayson with a real up and under. Bobby Hill clears the area. He's dangerous at ground level. They get it towards Bobby. Look out. Dances around the boundary line.
So for the number 1 stoppage team last year in Port Adelaide, they're getting absolutely pants, 15-6 in clearances so far, and the centre square bounce is 5-1. So a lot of work to do for Port.
Huge weekend in Melbourne. Plenty going on. Sport with the Grand Prix and footy back at the MCG. 3 consecutive nights of huge crowds.
Piastri second on the grid.
Could be a huge day tomorrow. Oh, Boak There's danger in the kick, made worse. The greasy conditions again, a big factor. How big? Elliott searching for the right man to have the shot. Is it Ned Long? No, he just misses.
Ooh, let off for Port Adelaide. They've been a little bit careless with the ball at different stages. Neither team particularly good by foot in the first quarter.
They've had a few let-offs of late, haven't they?
Just hanging in at the moment. Kick 4 in a row. Memory kicked 3 of them. It's not the kick. It's to space in the end. Houston. Boak stripped to the footy. Dacos Josh Perryman. Skinny ball inside 50. And Stay was front and centre. Sullivan just gets bundled out of the way by the bigger body. Lines. Now Farrell puts it out in front of the 200. Game man Burn Jones. He's got some toe. Just a little instep ball was unusual to no one. Works out the end of Rioli. Creates a bit of space. Willie!
How clever was the deceptive body movement, the footwork from Willie Rioli.
That was so instinctively clever, wasn't it?
You thought he was going to go towards the ball and go around onto his right foot, but you watch him here. This just, it does his opponent all ends up. See McInnes thinks he's going to go across, and he just waits and allows the ball to come to him. Just backpedals very quickly and makes it look so easy.
He's a special player. It's spatial awareness, but it's also assessing your exit plan. If he turns onto his natural right foot, he turns back into pressure, opens up his body, easy goal.
33 goals in 20 games last year. Such a crucial component of Port's forward line. Premiership player with the West Coast Eagles. Last 30 seconds of the opening term. Big goal that was for Port, back within 15, but they're going to have to defend here. Cameron with a hand pass off to Sullivan into the open spaces. And Boak, who's had enough of the footy in this opening term, that's his 8th handball out to Farrell, and made it awkward for Jones, who's having a tough time in this opening quarter. He was dumped. A fumble from Long, then he hacks the kick forward. Somehow it got to McStay. Turned over the left, and that will burn for Port Adelaide. And the big forwards are all playing a part for Collingwood. 3 goals to Membry. And now McStay, just like Brody Mychek, has kicked 1 each. And it's back to 21 points.
We spoke about the conditions, Dal. It's greasy, it's humid, it's hard to handle. That was just a case of, well, if we can't handle it cleanly, we'll just keep pushing it forward. And in the end, it bounced nicely for McStay, who was able to snap over the shoulder. Just good persistence on that occasion.
And Jace Finlayson needs to put his whole body behind that ball
100%.
and take it like a goalkeeper in some ways and keep the ball in front. At least it makes the shot at goal a bit more difficult if it does rebound to a Collingwood opponent.
You're right, John. It doesn't look great when you just stick out a foot.
Quarter time, good start for the Pies. Dacos calling his team in. Membry kicked 3 for the term. Houston's had 10 in his first game against his old side. And if you're joining us, Pendlebury is the sub. Collingwood leading. Port Adelaide quarter time here at the MCG. Super Saturday, 6-5-41 to the power, 3-2-20 by 21 points.
Quarter time. Saturday night football between Collingwood and Port Adelaide. Come full time, we'll be back to wrap it all up following the first Super Saturday Live of season 2025. We'll be here for the Saturday night debrief following the song at the GJack.
Right here at the Jamison Bar, celebrating all of.
All right, there we go, folks. Quarter time. It's the mighty Magpies, 6-5-41, leading Port Adelaide 3-2-20. The Pies by 21. Trevor, you're right. Funny how the only reason ahead is mainly because of the next Port player. Tell you what, a couple of players doing it really well there for the Pies. Of course, that's Membry and Houston playing really good games there for the Magpies. I'll tell you what, being a Magpie supporter, you know, whether they win or lose, I love to see their intensity they bring to the game, their fight. And that is exactly what they're doing tonight, unlike the first game. In opening round against the GWS Giants. Port Adelaide, you know, don't worry about that. They'll come back, I'm sure of it. It's a pretty hot night out here at the MCG. 28 degrees here in Melbourne. She's pretty hot. A bit of sweat getting on the ball. We're going to expect a few fumbles from both sides tonight. Collingwood, of course, being one of the average of 26, being the oldest teams. Will they tire? We'll wait and see. Tell you what, it was pretty fast paced by both sides in that opening quarter. As I said, their intensity was up there with the best in the opening quarter. But 21-point lead to the Magpies, that's the way we wanted to start. And of course, Port Adelaide, well, let's say they'll let off the hook by about 2 or 3 kicks where the Magpies should have put through the goal, but missed. All right, let's go and pop over. Let's have a look at the goal scorers. Let me just reload that. Make sure that is correct what we're seeing. The goals, there we go. Tim Embry leading the way for the Maggies. 3 goals straight. He's kicked fantastic. Other single goal scorers, Brodie Myercheck, Daniel McStay, and Lipinski. They worked pretty well, I think, Membry and Myercheck down forward for the Magpies with the little roving players alongside them. Works out well. Jordan Sweet, Rioli, and Jack Lucasi. I think that's how you say it. I hope I got it right. All single goal scorers for Port Adelaide. I will say one thing in just a moment, but let's have a look at the disposal getters out on the ground. Dan Houston leading the way with 10 for the Magpies, 6 kicks, 4 handballs, a mark and a tackle, and Kane Farrell for Port Adelaide, 10 also. They both lead the disposal count after quarter time. 7-3, 2 marks for Kane. Lipinski next best with both on 8. And then you've got a host of Port Adelaide players on 7. Let's just roll down. Ollie Wines there for Port Adelaide. Not too bad. I think they'll want a little bit better quarter out of him in the second. He's only had the 6 touches. Still side bottom, the old boy. He's going all right there for 6. Tim Embry, 6 disposals. He's had the 5 kicks for the 3 goals. So very, very good there. Jason Horne-Francis looking for a big game from him. He's just had the 6 in the first. Nick Dacos, one of the champs of the competition, been well tagged and well held in the opening quarter with only the 5 kicks to his name and 1 clearance. So he's been shut down completely. Let's see if he can break that tag and have a little bit of impact in the game. Jack Crisp there for the Pies with 5 disposals. Jace Burgoyne there with 4 for Port Adelaide. Harry Perryman with 3. And of course, Josh Dacos with 4. So a couple of the stars there having quiet games. Jamie Elliott with 3 touches with just the 1 behind. Sam Powell-Pepper with just the 2. And Willie Rioli just the 2 touches for Port Adelaide. 2 kicks and he slotted the 1 goal. Darcy Moore, just a bit of a quiet game so far with Braden Maynard just with the 1. All right, we're going to get back down to the ground in just one moment. Let's have a quick glance at the stats. Let me just reload that, make sure that's correct. 94-87, so there's not much in it. Disposal count, just a 7 towards the Maggies. And that all comes in the kicks. Handballs all the same. Magpies having plenty of chances going inside 50. 21 times for their 11 scoring shots. Port Adelaide, 5 scoring shots, 9 inside 50s. So Port Adelaide's efficiency inside 50 is a little bit better there than the Magpies. And, of course, the efficiency around the ground, 71. Collingwood only 66. Free kicks, all pretty well tied up. There we go. That'll be enough to have a look at that just for the moment. Let's get back down to the commentators, and they'll take us into the bounce of the ball for the second quarter, whereas the Magpies by 21.
And it's off the back of the conversation last week about where's this group at? Are they too old? Are they too slow? This is a savvy-specific trade last year with a guy that they know. He's a known entity. He's a great goal kicker. That first one a little bit unorthodox with the outside of the foot check side. But then he rolls into these little pockets of space. This is a great example of just awareness and football now. It's about how to get into that space, make the kick really easy for the ball carrier, and then something he's never had an issue with is the goal kicking. I thought it was a fantastic start, not only by him, but the Pies. Maybe they were better for the run last week. Maybe that loss stung something inside them to make sure they rolled up today with great pressure and a great first quarter.
Clever recruiting decision to pick up Tim Embry, another piece in the puzzle for Collingwood. We head down boundary side. Brad Johnson and Eddie Betts. Has been a great journey as well for Tim Embry.
Oh, it certainly has, Jay. Started at the Sydney Swans, of course, and he only played the 1 game in 1 year at the Sydney Swans before he made the move to the St Kilda Footy Club, where he was quite good for some time, Ed. 173 games and 293 goals. That's when he really made his name as a player, didn't he?
Yeah, he's an absolute star. We showed tonight, that last week he didn't have the best of games. And we spoke about him before at the start of this game. And he came out like the house on fire. It was his movement. He's getting up. He laid a tackle here on the wing. Jono raced back. He's got Jeremy Finlayson on him. And so his movement is losing him. And he's kicked 3 goals for this quarter. And he's having a great game so far.
He certainly is. Howie and Hutto, he loved turning to the Collingwood faithful after he kicked his second in the first quarter.
Yes, it's been very interesting, hasn't it, with the exchange of players with these clubs from last year to this, and Dan Houston 10 disposals in the first quarter, and I guess it's like a recruiter, isn't it? The list manager and the decision managers at the end of the year when they watch the first couple of games, it's a big sigh of relief, and the players they bring into the club, as Lukosius did for Ken, kicked an early goal, but Dan Houston's had an excellent start.
He certainly has, but it's amazing when you look at the good clubs. They are so good at cherry-picking players from other clubs to fill holes, to fill voids in their makeup that just make them a better team. And I certainly think Collingwood have done that in the off-season.
Well, they've cherry-picked one of the best kicks in the competition in this man. Had a fantastic start. All possession getters on the ground with 10. Embry with 3, Collingwood by 21 at quarter time. Sweet and Cameron's been a good battle. Drew sitting on Dacos. Perriman and Rosie, Horn Francis and Long in the middle. A fresh airy from Sweet. Here's Nick Dacos. Rosie takes it back the other way to Horn Francis. This is dangerous. Went the forward. Short chipping ball. Rioli a little bit high and didn't know whether to put the hands up or down. In the end, dropped it. And there's a let-off for the Pies early.
Well, in the end, he went for the chest mark, and I think there's a lack of confidence because it's so breezy and humid that they just they don't have the confidence to take the ball in the hands. It was a beautiful kick.
Yeah, it was a golden opportunity. Got the handball out. Boak pounces and delivers. So Travis Boak showing why he's still playing for Port Adelaide after 372 games. And he still has the wherewithal to not only win the ball as he did in the first quarter 9 times, but to hit the scoreboard as well. And he equals the great Russell Ebert in terms of total club games for Port Adelaide when you add in the night games and so forth. And he'll break that record next week, which will be a big occasion in Adelaide. Russell Ebert is a legend and is so well loved. And this man, Travis Boak, has just epitomised everything that really Russell Ebert was about as well.
4-time Gary medalist, legend in South Australia. Equaling Adam Goods as well for AFL games tonight. Trav Boak. Little toe poke from Horn Francis to the outer flank. Bit of space, chases after his own foot. He does well. Wobbles the ball inside. Good pick up. Georgiades has no room to operate in. Burgoyne smooth on the pickup. Just saw the raw power of Horn Francis out of that stoppage. Already +3 in the clearances this quarter, where they got smashed in that particular area of the ground in the first quarter.
Plenty going on around this stoppage too.
Got to say, Willem Drew's doing an excellent job on Nick Dacos. Just the 5 possessions in the first term, hasn't touched it as yet in the second, and not having an impact on the game.
It was a different play to Toby Bedford. I thought it might have been difficult for him against Nick Dacos. There's a free kick for a throw, that'll help out the little chap. His brother just strides past, and for a rare occasion, he ignores him. Must have really been not on that option. Dacos just adjusted the kick, play on the cause. Long kicks towards centre half forward, so into the corridor. Wicked bounce for all concerned. Boak help from Farrell. He had 10 in the opening quarter as well. Alia. The coach was very concerned with where his opponent Maynard was, who was bouncing around. McGuinness actually. And now he lays a big tackle as Reeve wins it and the advantage. Now it is Maynard that comes away, but his kick was telegraphed, and Farrell, who is getting involved everywhere. And with his usual precision, he hits up the Lukosius, who's led well up the ground.
Lukosius kicked the first goal of the night. His first in power colours, slipping over his power pepper right at the wrong time. Sort of slippery out at ground level. Jeremy Howe's there.
It was a poor kick from Lukosius. He played on without looking at his options and then just ran himself into trouble.
Up and under ball for Chris, who does really well in the air. Might get a free kick.
Gee, that's an interesting call. Front on contact.
Free for Chris. Jamie Elliott's deep memory starting to lurk as well after his 3 in the first term. Waiting for someone to come towards him. And then they all stay back towards the square, which is where Crisp sends it. My check out the back. Oh, Dacos uses his body absolutely brilliantly, snaps it. And a touch skinny. Pushing and shoving, and Bobby Hood nearly tried on Nick Dacos.
Yeah, well, Jeremy Finlayson, just as he was getting up, just gave him a little nudge and knocked him back down. They are paying a lot of attention to Nick Dacos. They know he can beat them.
Cleanly into Sid. Young man who just needs a good run at it. Thumping kick he possesses as well. Georgiades hasn't been a factor yet. This man has. Houston comes away by hand initially. Dacos hits up the Prairie and waits just for a beat or two and then sliding. I don't think that was by design at all towards half forward. And Rosie starts the chain. Finlayson again posting up the big ruckman sweep. Bounds away. Look at the handball. I think Polly Farmer was his hero. Long kick in from Rosie. Rioli waiting, but Howe using his natural buoyancy to get up and over the top. Moore didn't want to take possession. Rioli sensing a little moment. Used Georgiades and then Lukosius. It was pretty easy prey for Houston.
Fascinating to watch that pass defence. They're prepared to leave a Port player 20 metres goal side to commit numbers to the contest. If they get it wrong, it is a goal from the goal line against them.
Nick Del Santo alongside Jason Dunstall. Saturday evening footy. Cameron, ground level. Josh Dacos having a good night. Shrugs a tackle. Lipinski, couple early inside 50s. Delays the hand pass. Feigns. Sends it forward into the path. There's a hot hand. Henry marks in front of Finlayson.
She lost their advantage because it was a mark and there was no advantage allowed. A free kick would have been better.
Good hands though. We've seen a lot of players fumble unable in the greasy conditions. If he drops that, they're under pressure again.
Called to go. Takes the easy bailout kick.
The beauty about Tim Embry up the ground is it allows Myercheck to remain in front of the football as another option for the play.
Pinksy's got it in front of the Shane Warne stand. Very short to Nick Dacos. Thought about the 1-2. He's up to 7 disposals. There's Nick. Outside of the boot. Elliott flies from behind. Had his name on it for about 18 metres out.
He was just directing traffic, Nick Dacos. He pointed where he wanted to go. He wanted to go to that dangerous spot. He could see a little bit of space for the forwards to run into.
Kicked what we thought was a remarkable goal in the first term, only for the Snicko to call him back. $21 last year. 3-time finals for Mark of the Year. Drifts out to the right, looking for the extra distance, keeps it low, flat and hard. Great finish, Jamie Elliott.
He looks like he's in very good form. Fresh, fit, after a good pre-season. He's missed too much footy. If you're a Pies fan, you just want to see this man playing every week because he's capable of so much. For a guy of limited stature, he can take the big screamers. He's a Mark of the Year candidate nearly every year. He can kick goals, and I mean, that was a raking kick from just outside 50 that made the distance easily. And when he's fit and firing, they're a different outfit.
2 goals from 16 disposals last week. He was one of their best. So the Tools have done it so far for Collingwood until now, led by Membry, Myercheck and McStay, but Jamie Elliott, the first of the shorter guys to hit the scoreboard. Collingwood's 22-point lead has been re-established. 8 minutes into the second term. Towed forward by Rosie, and again, clean hands from young Berry. Off to Wines. High ball inside 50. It was just hanging in the air and made the timing difficult for the leading forwards. Craig McRae be feeling much better about things tonight than he was last week. Sapping heat in Sydney, not that tonight's Annie Breeze. Some issues for Ken Hinkley. Burn Jones, as always, only knows one way. Burgoyne, Drew, forward handball in hope more than anything. Cameron, slap on the bootleg and then had to wait for it. McStay made life difficult and he found a way to win the footy. And then to Crisp, who just couldn't get the run of it. It's about this area on the ground where it seems to be the most difficult. Good spin from Mead the first time, but he was turning into trouble. And Collingwood, we know they laid 38 tackles last week. The coach said it was their DNA. They've laid 28 already, and we're not even at the halfway point.
And Hutto leading pressure as well, 200 to 176. Last week their pressure sat at 162.
24 over 28. McStay flips the hands up, takes a good contested mark. Black and white jumpers scream inside 50, takes a bit off the kick to Elliott, gets good elevation again. Burgoyne spun, stayed calm, Sims hand pass with a touch error back towards Crisp. Here's Nick Dacos, tries to burn off Farrell. Elliott squaring, team-oriented ball down a steel side bottom. They're under pressure here. Port Adelaide. Jones had his moments, squeezing ball out is good. Good test for Jones after a shaky first quarter. Richards moves it on to Burgoyne. Scrappy, indiscriminate kick forward. Maynard turned and it fell on his lap and he kicks quickly to Bobby Hill. Hasn't been a huge influence yet. He doesn't need many touches. Handball forward to Lipinski. Shakes off Burgoyne. And it's gone straight to Logan Evans. You can hear the disappointment in the Collingwood crowd now. Getting quite adventurous, running the gauntlet Bergman. And on the outside of all of that is Sweet, who needed to take the mark because he was all on his lonesome at half back and there was Collingwood players ready to go. Oh, gee, that's an aggressive kick for the big guy.
Gets away with it. The wobbly one to Bergman, has a couple of moments, gets away from McCreary. Rosie, handball cut off by steel side bottom, winds, burrows in, as does Rosie. Good pressure, Collingwood fans at the G enjoying it. What we're seeing is if you fumble or you miss your handball, you're going to pay a price. Fortunately, that didn't go back as the Pies had numbers out forward of the football. Drew's now beside Perryman. Schultz hasn't featured a great deal so far.
Yeah, Perryman only 3 disposals in his second game with the Pies.
He appears to be a bit more of a defensive mid, but those numbers are low, even for his role tonight.
Trying to make life difficult for that man, Rosie, but a little infraction. Goes short to the left-footed Berry. Rolling with a kick to Burn Jones, and he does the same. So used the left, which wasn't as reliable, and goes straight to Maynard, who just keeps popping up in the right spot. Dacos has run hard, through 15, 20 metres away from him. Lipinski's had a huge game so far. This is where Nick Dacos can catch him up. Once, twice, 3 times he's had the build-up. Kicks it deep to McStay. Aaliyah, too big an obstacle.
Gets on with it in a hurry, hangs up for a long time. Crisp arrives on the scene to cut it off. Perryman wants a second go at it, gets a second go at it. Good hand pass, side bottom. In a phone booth, Schultz dropped it. Umpire said play on, brilliant from Elliott. Opens up for Steele, side bottom. Goal and out for the Pies.
He's just such a beautifully balanced player, Steele side bottom, left or right foot. He's running flat stick, but he controls the football so beautifully onto the boot. He was never going to miss that. There was some slick hand passes, some wishful thinking hand passes, a little bit of everything involved in there, but the final hand pass from Elliott was a good one. And if you're going to hand pass to someone in that situation, this is the man you want on the end of it. So he was involved earlier, stayed involved, Steele side bottom. And look how he just throws it on the left. As soon as it touches the boot, he knows he's nailed it.
Still loves it. Still side bottom. And still contributing. Became sort of a genuine midfield tagger late last year. Played a different role last week, but he's back in the heart of it tonight. Ned Long trying to make his way with the Pies. Dacos off half back. It's Josh to Houston. They could be a devastating combination. Delayed the kick and maybe delay it a little further as he pinpoints the kick to Burgoyne. Off to Rosie, skips away. On Francis, they need more out of him. It wasn't 15, it didn't matter. And Darcy Burn-Jones takes the mark.
That was much better off the turnover, composed. After Dan Houston kicked that ball and turned it over, he was lost, couldn't find his man.
What a journey it's been for Darcy Burn-Jones. Pick 52 in the 2014 draft from Camberwell and Oakley Chargers. He made his name as a defender, All-Australian in 2020, and then has become a pressure half forward. And part of that role is kicking goals. And in game 200, his team needs him once again to deliver. And unfortunately, he can't.
It's a bad miss given the state of the game, unfortunately, from a Port Adelaide perspective.
McInnes edges it. Required distance. Howe had the kick under pressure as a result. Dump it straight to Rosie. Dangerous with ball in hand. Willie Rowell is trying to get off his man. They're running a block on him through Darcy Moore deep forward. Boak trying to get wide to Finlayson. Creeping ball back to Boak. So Collingwood have got 16 players back in their defensive 50. Not many gaps there. Moore with a big fist to Ahorn. Francis, I'm going to call his name a great deal tonight. Gives it out to Evans. Does well back to Horn Francis. Ripped off the footy. Free kick. Coming up for his 12th disposal, Howie.
But it doesn't feel like he's been impactful.
It hasn't broken it open just yet. He's had a couple of maybe-if moments.
And one of those slicing runs out of the centre. Something just to shorten into the pocket. To Berry. An opportunity to kick his first goal. Couldn't take toll in the first term. Now Ollie Wines.
They're 1-3 from set shots, Port Adelaide. So they've kicked 4-3, which doesn't look too bad, but they've had a couple of real kickable ones, which could be telling later.
Well, you've got to take your opportunities to get back into the contest. That was sloppy marking from Collingwood. He just drifted into space. Ollie Wines, a short lead regulation. I suspect those quads can cover the distance.
First Brownlow medalist hands it off to Bergman. Long ball on the right, sliding across. And it's easily dealt with by a couple of Collingwood tours. In the end, McStay kills it.
Well, you've got to be careful when you call for handballs. You've got to know that you're clear and you can run into space. And that was the wrong one for Bergman to call for. He should have let Ollie Wines go back and have the shot, who I think could have made the distance from there.
Ollie didn't have the same confidence in himself as Chase.
Well, I knew distance shouldn't have been an issue. I was just worried about accuracy.
Martin sits at 27. Port are circling. Wines and Boat. Again, the handball making it a lot tough for Joey Richards. Port gave him a 4-year deal. They thought he was undervalued. Collingwood did their best at the last minute to try and keep him, but mature age recruit Joe Richards went with the confidence that Port have shown him what he can deliver. It's his chance at the MCG tonight. Rosie off to lead again. Tough going there. It's over and out. A little smile between Mead and Sidebottom. That's the clearance game that boys were talking about earlier on in the first quarter particularly.
Well, it's actually been closed a little bit by Port in this quarter. It was worse than that.
Collingwood by 21 at quarter time. They've eased it out to 27. Rioli, clever, centering ball to Burgoyne. Here comes Powell Pepper. Back off that knee injury from last year. Good to see him back out there. Little chipping ball from Evans. Spends a long time in the air. Collingwood again, a ground level crunch behind play. Advantage going the way of Collingwood. They can slice it up now. Memory is streaking back towards goal. If they can get it to him, they take the bounce. Bobby Hill with a little chick side inside 50 was something a little bit clever.
I haven't seen that before. I haven't seen a running banana pass.
That hits him on the chest, Chief.
Makes you smile.
I don't want to be a downer, but he has put him in the pocket.
Yeah. But he's capable. He's done this plenty of times before.
Tim Memory's going round the body for a 4th goal. Just his 2nd game in the famous black and white stripes. Memory starts at a touch inside and stays that way. Need to see that again from Willie. And Powell Pepper got the big one as well.
Huge one down the other end, trying to enforce some physicalities. He just comes through. That's not far off a few weeks holiday as well. Fortunately, didn't connect.
Darcy Cameron had gone to his knees, but fortunately he's a big man, so he still caught him on the shoulder and not the head.
Finlayson indulging in a bounce, and then his kick a bit sloppy. Power Pepper, it's the 3 games last year on his return, as we mentioned, from the ACL. Houston wins against the debutant, sends its Collingwood's way again. McCreary trying to link up with either McStay or Long. Long handball to Nick Dacos. Standing up as McStay to be involved again. Houston was searching for his right boot. Instead, it's to McStay. It was a laborious build-up and doesn't get the finish they were after either. Evans, there was the spoil sport back there. Chris will just pop it onto the chest. That's better. And Sullivan will look to put the finishing touches.
Still Port Adelaide trying to play a perfect brand of football. These conditions aren't allowing that. The Pies have adapted, taking yardage at the right time and also finding the right target when they're open. Multiple times, Finlayson in particular, trying to slice one through the middle.
Kicked 2 goals, 5 last year in those 10 games. His first game for the season, Lockie Sullivan. Notable best and fairest, the winners in the VFL for Footscray. Gave him that opportunity. He wasn't able to convert that shot there. Bergman just trying to absorb the pressure and gets the result he was after, which was a ball up at the top of the square. But there's danger everywhere.
Collingwood continuing to press to really blow this one open. Lyons is the recipient of the high contact. Next to the Shane Morgenstad side. Houston has been fantastic in his first game for his new club. Burgoyne, sweet, forward hand pass, Lukosius. Forced to kick in a hurry, but it's in the path, maybe of Willie Riley, but it takes an awkward bounce.
Where's Pingdon?
And he's gone.
He's tried to kick that as far downfield as he could, caught it a little bit off the toe, and it's taken a big bounce left and not enough intent.
If it's a skill error, they're meant to not pay it. I can see why they did, because there wasn't really anyone there, but more. The Pie skipper. Big clump of players at half forward. Bergman's slight misjudgment allows Houston, who was trying to get it to his teammates, connect. There was a couple of them ahead for the handball. Doesn't eventuate. Schultz in and under. Not mucking around. Houston just thumps it forward. Logan Evans, a difficult one, knowing that Mychek was bearing down and just ready to lock him all up. Rape him in a big tackle. And all Logan Evans could do was just cock it.
He'd be thrilled with the tackling, Craig McRae from the Pies. 35-19, they lead in the tackles. Their pressure's been outstanding.
Sin one-on-one back in the goal screen with Bobby Hill. Nervous moments, kept his feet Hill. Sin doesn't give up. Jones, even more nervous. Plays it back to Bergman and through the fingers of Finlayson. So a few flutters in the heart for the Port fans there. There was a little push there. Houston played umpire. I thought he deserved the free, but Lukosius, who was involved in all of the three-way trade with Gold Coast to get him to Port Adelaide, was able to win the mark. And now it's Wines who takes the corner on the kick to Power Pepper.
He hits the contest hard, gets a free kick back the other way this time, Power Pepper. It was a hold against Richards.
They had players queuing up on the open side of the ground, Port Adelaide. They could have seen Travis Boak in space.
Plays on with a high ball inside 50. Howe. His fly was stymied. Crisp outside of the boot. Needs it to stay in play. Doesn't. It's all okay.
Connor Rosie having a rest, well-deserved rest for Port Adelaide. He's up to 16 disposals. And Dan Houston, the gun recruits, had 14 for the Pies.
Only 4 this quarter though, Del, so he hasn't quite had the same amount of footy.
Nick Dacos up to 13 now after a quiet first quarter. He's had 8 in the second quarter.
Side bottom. Kicked the goal earlier. Back to Chris, little fumble.
Been lots of those, haven't there? Just breezy conditions in the heat.
Very humid night. Game started at 32 degrees. 7:30 local. Rain apparently on the way tomorrow. Sweet. Got front position, then missed a lot, as did Long. As well by hand in the end. McCreary had his back to side bottom, so didn't receive it. Spills off Sin. Wines. Straight through the hands of Horn Francis. Cameron also having a bit of a moment over the footy. Maynard, Rioli. Again, a scrappy little passage.
You'd swear it was a bar of soap at the moment, the way the players are trying to handle it. It must be so greasy down
And
there.
that's their responsibility to adapt to that,
Yeah,
Chief. We saw
agreed.
some great examples, particularly by the Pies in the first quarter. Get field position,
And
create something.
You simplify the way you play a little bit as well. Percentages and territory.
Crisp assesses his options, goes high down the line. Finlayson does really well. Moves McStay into the footy. Accesses centre wing. Malia. Richards combining with Berry. Starting to get into the game, the debutant. And Houston's old number, the Indian Darcy Moore, takes his first intercept of the night.
They flip the ball around. Playing it. Out to a one on the wing. And one of the one is number 35, Nick Dacos, who marks and then curses and then handballs. Houston's kick on the short to Membry. 3 opening quarter goals. McStay is deep. Is there a connection between the two? Elliott got them underneath. He made sure Aaliyah went forward, and he knew where the footy would land. All that forward craft from Jamie Elliott. Still trying to synchronise things with the likes of Membry. There's Aaliyah. Certainly made sure we saw it. Not enough to convince the umpire. No. So Elliott has one. Could easily have two. Not for the little snicko on the post. He's a dead eye. He's got two now. The Pies have kicked the last three. And the lead is out to a match high 34. And they are looking very, very menacing.
Well, they're looking great. Look at this passage of play. It started with the work rate from the near side to the far side. And this is set plays. This is about isolating a player. Everyone moves out of the way. They come together and this forms little pockets of space.
So is that a push in the back?
Well, it's not a push. If anything, it's probably a grab it. You won't get done for faking because there was probably contact, but he's a big, strong guy, Ali.
What about you, Jason? Do you reckon there's a push in the back?
Oh, look, it's one of those 50-50 ones, Hutto. I'll sit on the fence.
You have like a letterbox.
Game high 34-point margin. It was 21 at quarter time. Collingwood have continued to stretch. Doom and gloom after just one game and a loss, but started well here, the Pies.
Just looking, wondering whether that Willem Drew tag has been broken. Nick Dacos has gone to the wing. Drew's going to stay inside as an inside midfielder.
So he rotated forward first. Dal, now he's pushed his way to the wing. Couldn't go back on the ball.
Right, Johnson alongside Eddie Betts dominating down on the boundary. Again, no room for Powell Pepper.
Love to see the way he plays the wing. Wingmen usually keep their width. Wonder whether Nick Dacos will keep his width.
I wouldn't have thought, Hutto. Awful Lee Francis in there. Tight tags on both of them.
See ball, get ball, Nick Dacos, that's okay.
Farrell. Beautiful long left foot to Lukosius. Spoiled to the ground. Houston's there. Just taps it in the end towards Richards.
I don't mind it though, guys, as well, in terms of protecting. We know what happened last week, of course, with the bad cramping. So play a bit forward, a bit outside on the wing, protect the fence a bit, and then when you're fresh, jump back on ball.
Yeah, they would have been ready for it. Plans for Willem Drew, Houston, and his slight fumble and he recovered. Perryman to Quainer. It's Collingwood going forward again. Bergman, things did open up for him, but he wasn't quite sure how to utilise it. The whole open field is ahead for Elliott. Hill on a path back to goal. Can they collaborate? He chooses McCreary, which was good in theory. The tap back to the middle. Hill not far away, but Sim just blasting it out of there. And what a kick it turned out to be. Suddenly it's Lukosius. Suddenly it's Port going forward. Georgiades can't get himself in the game. Made the spoil on Moore. I said that was okay. And the backup is Houston. Turns Powell Pepper.
It's just started raining at ground level too to add a little bit more of a dilemma for the players with how slippery it is already.
Membry arrives with one hand. 26 seconds on the clock. Port need to defend and can defend here at the moment, and they send one back the other way. Joe Berry's cornered, caught and stopped. Collingwood led it by 21 quarter time. They've pushed it out to 34 points. Good turn, they kicked the last three. Jamie Elliott kicked two. Membry kicked three in the first term. Half time here at the MCG. Collingwood 9-7-61. Port Adelaide 4-3-27. It's the Pies by 34 points.
All right, so the Pies continue to roll on. 3 goals to the Magpies in the second term. 1 goal, 1 Port Adelaide. So the Pies winning the first 2 quarters. Great to see they are keeping their run and flow going. Port Adelaide, well, they looked like they were a little bit of a chance just in one section there to gather a little bit of momentum. But the Pies quickly stopped them. Tell you what, some of the players though, she's pretty hot. It's still 28 degrees out there. What is it, 8:49 p.m. Still 28 degrees. That's hot in anyone's language to play Aussie rules footy, folks. Aussie rules footy. Liverpool, go Pies from Greece. There you go, and welcome in all the way from Greece. Good stuff. Footy headies watching it. Excellent. Tell you what, you'll be enjoying watching it if you're a Pies supporter, that is for sure. David Island, Life and Adventures. How you going, brother? Bok Choi, how you going? Of course, Tina was in the live chat with Adrian. Good stuff. Carly, Salim, well done. Paul, Sunset Wanderer, and Ryan. Here we go, folks. Tell you what, this is a good day for a Magpie supporter so far. Make no mistake, though, they don't want to let their guard down because Port Adelaide can come back and they can hit back pretty hard. There's about 34 points. The Magpies, just under 6 goals. Anything's possible, as we all know it, in football. All right, let's go and have a little bit of a look, as we always do. Let's have a look at the stats, the goals. Tim Membry still with the 3 goals, 1 for the Magpies of his 10 disposals, 8 kicks. Jamie Elliott, 2 goals there, the only other multiple goal scorer for the Maggies with 2. Good to see Jamie getting back and having a good game. 8 disposals, 6 kicks, 2 goals, 1. Still side bottom, Brody Mychek, Daniel McStay, Lipinski, the other single goal scorers for the Maggies. And of course for Port Adelaide, Jordan Sweet, Willie Rioli, Lucas, is that how you say it? My gosh, I'm going to have to listen to the call. There we go. And of course, Travis Boak, single goal scorers all for Port Adelaide. The disposal count. Let's see who's leading the ball. My gosh, let's see who's leading the disposal count. Of course, Dan Houston's leading the way out on the ground. Of course, it's not one of the Dacos boys, but it's Dan Houston with 17. 9 kicks, 8 handballs, 1 mark, 5 tackles, 1 clearance. He's having a good game. We'll be back down with the commentators to get their analysis of the first half, not too far away. They should be just around the corner. Connor Rose, next best for Port on 16. Ollie Wines up there with 15. Lipinski 14 for the Pies. Nick Dacos having a much better second quarter. He's up to 14 touches now, 10 kicks, 4 handballs, 3 marks, 3 clearances, kicked a behind. So I think he's just starting to get off the leash a little bit. So I'm tipping he'll have a pretty big second half. The old boy still side bottom on 11 disposals. Jason Horn-Francis, not doing too bad. Still needs to pick up. He needs a big quarter for Port Adelaide in the second half. Jack Crisp going rather well there for the Maggies on 11. We roll down a bit. Who can you see? Lockie Schultz there and Jamie Elliott both on 8. Bergman on 9 with Burgoyne, both for Port Adelaide there. Willie Rioli, a little bit slow in that second term. It's with the 6 touches, still with just that single goal there. Of course, Josh Dacos having a quiet game for the Pies, just with the 6 touches up until half-time. Harry Perryman just with a 5 for the Magpies. Isaac Quainer a little bit quiet with Darcy Moore, both on 4 touches apiece. There we go. Sam Powell-Pepper on 4. We're going to be back. Actually, let's head back down to the rooms and then we can come back and have a little bit of a look at the team stats when the commentators take a break. All right, let's get back down to the commentators.
King, Jack Grewal, they've been relentless so far.
They had, the start was fantastic. 6 goals, 5 in that first quarter. They really could have blown them right away and blown them to smithereens. But I just think they've done it through smarts, not necessarily their handball game or their, anything that the coaches designed. I just think it's been common sense play, taking the right options, particularly in the forward half. The 3 tools have worked in that forward half tonight, Jack.
Yeah, they have. As the question coming in last week, they only kicked 3 goals between them, McStay, Mycheck and Membry, and tonight they've already combined for 5 goals, which is a massive plus for Craig McRae. They got Tim Membry across to the football club to have an impact on the scoreboard. We know he was such an important piece to the St Kilda puzzle when he was up and going, but he's been great tonight. He's been able to hit the scoreboard, and it's been, we know when he gets the ball to Membry, his ability to kick straight is really important. He got an early one here, but he's one of the best set shots in the competition.
This is what I like. Sometimes you just don't need sheer speed or brutality or it's just finding the right spots, dropping in the little holes where you can be usable for a teammate and make the game easy. Take what the opposition give you. They dropped off him at the wrong times consistently, and he found little holes, neat little pockets that he could drop into. I mean, these sorts of plays here. I mean, that's why Collingwood, who tell us all they're in for the now, have gone after a guy who's a delisted free agent, 30 years of age, to try and pinch a few wins through smarts, and it's working tonight.
And they've brought the pressure, haven't they? So 38 tackles in the first half. They had 39 for the game last week.
Yeah. Craig McRae was big on that last week. He spoke about the fact that they didn't bring a Collingwood type of pressure. And you can see here, it was on from the first bounce. And it was, led by some of the stars of the competition, but their pressure rating is 1.89 for this first half. And Dan Houston comes into the side. He's had 5 tackles so far. Long's also had 6 as well. So you can see that Houston's come in and want to have an impact. His 5 tackles combined with 14 touches as well. But this is the Collingwood of old. This is the Collingwood that Craig McRae loves to see. And it's forced these turnovers, but it's also put Port Adelaide under an immense amount of pressure.
What about Port Adelaide? They are the other story. We've applauded Collingwood for their hot start in this first half. What about Port?
Just looked a bit jittery, particularly down back. They've made some absolute clangers down there and have given Collingwood, who are up, full of momentum, full of beans, just opportunities, soft opportunities for goals. I just think that when you look at Finlayson trying to squeeze a handball through there, well, that's a guy who hasn't played backline for a long period of time. They pay the ultimate price. Bang, Membry's up and going, crowds involved. Here, drop mark. You've got to take that. I mean, this is a high draft pick in Jones. Needed to take that to take the pressure off his fellow defenders. Same again here. Costly fumbles. I mean, in the end, it wasn't a goal, but it gave them an opportunity to create another score and keep the pressure on, keep the crowd involved. Silly things. Right here, Finlayson, what are you doing standing there anyway? Should he have been getting behind that ball and taking it out of bounds? Possibly, but he should have been on his man, is the bottom line. So little lapses and loss of concentration have proved very costly.
Yeah, you can see that when sides do bring the pressure, and Collingwood have been able to do that tonight, is that there's pressure and then there's referred pressure. And at the moment, there's a trend over the AFL is that sides, they come under pressure and they panic, they handball the ball backwards, they fumble the ball, and it's certainly been costly for Port Adelaide tonight.
So a few question marks in game 1 of this coaching handover between Ken Hinkley and Josh Carr at Port Adelaide. We've got the second half coming up next, but we're also going to relive what has been a hectic Super Saturday Live so far. Wins for Geelong and also the Brisbane Lions. We're going to touch on that next.
All right, while they are just on a quick break, let's get back, folks. Let's go and have a look at the disposal, the team stats. You can have your thoughts on this. There we go. So, what did I say? 34 points of difference, the Magpies lead by. But looking at the disposal count, everything seems, well, pretty close, doesn't it? 178, 184. Port Adelaide. They lead by 6 disposals. 3 in the kicks, 3 in the handballs, so all pretty even there. It's just the way the Magpies are using the ball a little bit cleaner and a little bit wiser and smarter in what they do with the ball. Inside 50s, 33 to the Magpies for their 16 scoring shots. 21 inside 50s for Port Adelaide for only 7 scoring shots. That needs to improve. Efficiency around the ground. Well, both teams on 71%, 51 and 38 inside 50 efficiency. Port Adelaide need to lift their game. Still a little bit low for the Maggies. They still need to lift that as well, so both teams could do a little bit better. But maybe that has something to do with the heat with the heat and a little bit of slipperiness on the ball with the dew out there. The free kicks all pretty well even. 14-12, only 2 ahead for the home team in the Magpies. Let's have a look at the stoppages. Port Adelaide winning in the stoppages, but the Magpies in the clearances 24-15. That's excellent. Considering that Nick Dacos hasn't really had an effect on this game, they're doing quite well with those numbers. Centre clearances 7-4, Pies by 3 in that department. Stoppage clearances 17-11, by 6 to the Magpies there. Contested possession, well, Pies a little bit harder there, 10. Uncontested, Port Adelaide just trying to control the ball a little bit when possible. They're up by 20 there. The turnovers, well, they're a little bit higher tonight. As I said, I think the turnovers is just well, it seems to be a little bit of a high-pressure game, this one. And as I said, a little bit of the dew on the ball, the stickiness because of the sweat on the hands of the players being so hot. 28 degrees here in Melbourne. You're going to expect that a little bit there. So that represents, with the marking situation with Port Adelaide, 51-29, just trying to, slow the game down with that hot pace on. Marks inside 50, Collingwood doing well there. Season average of 9, they're already up to 8 halfway through the game. So that is good news. They're finding their targets, they're opening up, getting a bit of space. And that's what they've got to do, and they're doing that well. Of course, Membry taking a few marks inside there. He's looking really nice in there with Brody Myercheck. Forwards doing well. Contested marks 6-2, a little bit stronger in the air in the contested area of the marking department. The Magpies, we know the goal score. Let's have a look at the tackles. Pies are definitely bringing the heat tonight. 38-21. Season average there, 39. That's all I had last week. So it was a really poor effort last week. And, of course, Craven Craig, he would have addressed that with the players and said, we need more out of you boys. We need the intensity, the hunger, the fight, get back in the eyes and get out there and play like it. That's what we're seeing in the tackle count. 38-21. Port Adelaide doing a little bit better. 5-2 in the tackles inside 50. All right, there we go. That is for that. We're only 8 minutes out, or 7.5 minutes out from the bounce of the ball to the second half. Should be a good quarter. The next one. Let's see what happens. Can the Magpies sustain their pressure and the play they've been having, or can Port Adelaide stem the tide and get the game back on their terms? We'll just have to wait and see. Commentators are just about back. We're going to let them have a few words in just a moment. So they are just about back on. I think they were just going to talk a little bit about Fremantle Geelong game. That's all right. We can listen in on that, and then they'll take us back to the Collingwood Port Adelaide game.
Point thrashing of Fremantle at GMHBA Stadium. David King, you've called him the Brian Lake piece of the premiership puzzle for the Cats.
Oh, he was everywhere. He's all speed, all power running all day, put them to the sword. Fremantle couldn't go with him. He created overlap, he created possession change that just went full length over the ground, and he made Freo's defence look really poor. I mean, that's a discussion for later on tonight, but what Bailey Smith has done to Geelong is give them a second midfielder of power. So you always had to worry about Dangerfield in the past, and now you have to worry about Max Holmes. So it's now Holmes and Smith to take on the world.
Yeah, I think Bailey Smith's ability to get forward of the ball, we know he's got an incredible work rate, but paired with Max Holmes, who's been able to go back, and Dangerfield's the piece that goes forward, they've got sort of this three-headed monster that they can play around with what suits at the time.
Plenty to celebrate for Geelong, and we will do that in our post-game show. But firstly, let's hear from Justin Longmuir, because it was a pretty ugly day for the Fremantle Football Club.
We weren't tough enough. I thought their hunt and their pressure was at a level that we couldn't handle, and we couldn't apply the same pressure to them. It was really disappointing, obviously.
How alarmed would you be if you're Dockers' hierarchy tonight?
They put 23 goals on them.
10 in the last.
10 in a quarter, which has only happened twice last year. 10 in a quarter, and it was saved by the young fella, the debutant, who kicked 4 goals in a quarter.
Would have been 100 points.
Would have been a complete smashing and nothing to really celebrate. I mean, you're playing for 6 months to be better than this. Defensively, they look rattled. And there's real problems, I think, after 4 quarters of football, unfortunately, for Justin Longmuir.
You do not want to be known as not tough enough. And that is, they're alarming words for the Fremantle Football Club from their own coach.
We'll delve more into that game in our post-game show, but we are back to the MCG next because this is a cracking game between Port Adelaide and Collingwood. Collingwood have come to play tonight. They lead by 34 points. Tim Membry with 3 goals. How many more can he add? I'm sure Craig McRae is a lot happier this week than last.
All right, folks, stick with us. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
always an issue at the MCG, the Seagulls. If you miss some of the halftime break, look at him, the smiling assassin, Brad Johnson. He was doing his thing. He's looking like a male model. And then he's having a chat with Eddie. Just keep an eye on the lapel. Jono, what? You didn't miss a beat, great man.
Oh, it looks fake, doesn't it? What a shot. Like, where's the fake Eagles up on top of the roof here? Where have they gone?
Who do you think is the guilty party?
Seriously. Anyway, I'm glad I got a touch on for ticket for tonight because it's meant to be good luck, isn't it?
Well done to that bird. Right, what can Port do to turn this round, Jason?
That's
a 34-point deficit.
A very good question. They can get busy around the stoppages to start with. They got a little bit back into it in the second term, but they're just getting dominated at the source. And then they haven't been clean enough with the ball. When they have won it, and when they've created turnovers in particular, they haven't been able to punish Collingwood. And too many ordinary kicks under no pressure and just turnovers that have really hurt them.
It's got to start in the midfield, Howie. They got beaten comfortably, in particular in the clearance game. It's an area of their game last year that they won the very best in the competition. They've been really aggressive with their movements through there. So we've got a little glimpse of Stormtrooper. Yeah, not quite sure whether it would be warm under the relationship, but
That's the anti-seagull helmet.
The Pies have won the last 4 matches against Port Adelaide. Well on their way to a 5th here at the MCG. Beautiful bounce to start the second half. Tap down, goes straight to Horn Francis, who was able to turn and spot Joe Richards ahead. Maynard kept him to account. Poke under severe pressure. Has turned it over to side bottom, who has Howard working across half back. Kick for Lipinski, but falling on his side that time is Mead, who's almost close enough, maybe not to score, but to try and connect to someone who can. Bert Jones, Richards, all about the bounce. Oh, more. Pursued it all the way to the line.
But that's exactly what we're talking about. Another opportunity there. A turnover just outside 50. They can't punish Collingwood. Can't hit a target on rebound.
only had the 22 inside 50s as well, so they do need to make them count through limited opportunities.
Houston's 17 disposals led everyone in the first half in his first game for Collingwood. Cameron, sweet, no one really has an impact. Drew to Rosie, snapping ball round the body. Georgiades hasn't been a factor. Willie Rioli does well to bring it to ground. Boak tries a tackle that they break. Dacos wants to go in the middle by foot, in the end goes by hand. Good ball from Maynard and well held up too by Mychek. This is a good build up from Collingwood. Now Perryman, here's the important ball inside 50, getting out the back. He was just too big there. Floating with the footy is McStay. And a chance for a perfect start for Collingwood.
Well, it's just clean hands, something we haven't seen a lot in the first half with the conditions. First was Mychek to take that great contested mark on centre wing. And then the runners join in through Perryman.
Damaged the ACL back in December 2023 at training, back late in the season, round 19 last year. McStay shouldn't be a problem. It isn't a problem. Collingwood out to a game-high 39-point margin.
Clean hands, we haven't seen enough of that. Mychek up the ground and then McStay in the forward 50, but I really like the decision from Harry Perryman. Now, he's got Dan Houston running inside him, screaming for the hand pass. He could have given it, and maybe Houston runs to 55 and kicks a big one. But he knew that if he kicked the ball quickly, that McStay had got over the back in space and he had the advantage. So he decided just to kick the ball rather than give it. You can see Houston on the inside, but he said, no, I'll get it down quickly because look at the space McStay's got over the back, and that allows him to basically take an uncontested mark, and it makes for a certain goal, 15 out directly in front.
And Jace, just have a look in that vision as well. See the power of mid, start of the third quarter, opportunity chase from behind. They're just trailing, they were jogging on the spot and putting no pressure at all on centre wing to stop that ball going forward.
Back in the heart of the MCG. Sweet used his bop. Unfortunately, Stack went straight to Cameron. Side bottom, jamming it forward. Sullivan back to Cameron again. Great smother from Evans. He was fully committed. He got another smother, did Cameron. Bert Jones and Logan Evans again, but Collingwood players very clever the way they structured around that, and they weren't letting him get out.
He had 3 smothered kicks in the space of 8 seconds.
Is that a
Darcy
record?
Cameron. Just takes a while to get from hand to boot.
Perryman. It's going 45 metres, and then the fumble from Ollie is another 5. Lockie Jones found the line he needed to. Jamie Elliott hassling him all the way, and he's still in his face.
Well, he's fortunate. Yeah, he's fortunate he went over the line there, Chief.
Yep, saved him, didn't
He did take him on. Look at that pressure factor once again. That's above average. 191, and stark difference from what we saw last week for the Pies. I reckon that'll be the most pleasing thing for the coaching staff.
Margin out to 39, and they're threatening for more. Poke a little handoff. DeHorn Francis goes the second time. They get pushed back into the back pocket. Is he out of play? Appears to be, but the mark has been paid and the play on to Cameron again. Ball keeps finding him at the moment. Hopefully this one won't be smothered. McStay leading across the baseline. And he's going to leap up, and was he interfered with? Play on again. Elliott's already thought he'd kick one goal from roughly this area. Now, that's interesting. Basically had possession there, Elliott.
He just wasn't holding it. He was just sitting in front of him.
Oh.
He was over it, though.
Yeah, I think that was possession. So he's a little lucky there. A few more of those nasty seagulls. Don't know, better keep watching out down there. Rosie, all he could do is squeeze out the handball. Again, they go for the line.
It's fantastic to watch if you're a Collingwood supporter, and the Collingwood coaches would love this. The tackling's been outstanding. It's been gang tackling at times, 2 and 3.
That's 43 tonight compared to 38 last week.
Stay up against Sweet. Still very congested in that pocket.
And again, it comes back to that effort and mindset. You don't have to be talented to tackle. You just got to have a want to do it.
You wouldn't know his team's letting by 31 points.
Across the line this time by Perryman.
When you get this amount of time in your front half, it allows you to set up defensively behind the football, so the Pies are in perfect position. Got Darcy Cameron as the long down the line as the extra, and they've also got one out the back, so it's going to be difficult for Port to work their way through.
Sweet grabs out of the ruck, tries to break the deadlock.
Just.
I love it. That's what you need.
Goodness, crisp. Wild handball into the pocket. We sort of need a bit of improvisation downstairs because nothing is happening out there.
And the important thing is, what are Port Adelaide going to do?
Yeah.
Should they win the ball at the stoppage here? They haven't got an outlet kick. They're going to have to be very prudent the way they use the football, identify some short targets.
There's no Charlie Dixon these days. He's finished, of course. So it's a different looking forward line. Georgiades has barely had a touch, just a couple in the first half, and he had the fumbles there. Collingwood players literally lining up, ready to receive. From side bottom to Dacos to Howe. Thought he could see off Rioli. Better think again. Willie goes in, wins the football. Waves the wand around and got the handball off to Georgiades. Now to Rosie. Ignored Berry instead. Kicks deep to full forward. Lukosha should and does not quite.
Well done, Maynard. He did well not to give away a free kick and to get that ball to ground.
Rucks arrive. Opportunity for Port. Dacos, though, quells that pretty quickly to side bottom. McCreary off half back. Down the line, they try to clear it from Mytek. He didn't realise that he was meant to be the go man. Now, he can keep this in. Initially, he was intent on spoiling. Short kick is apparently 15. Some of the members wearing Collingwood scarves had the tape out. Sin kept it low. Want was to get it back from me to Sin. Read it pretty well. And Lyons, though, unfortunately can't say the same thing. And Darcy Moore, who we saw before the game tonight, really stealing with his approach, reflecting how much this means to him and the club. Steps in, he's done a great defensive job tonight.
McGuinness. Josh Dacos. Collingwood by 21 at quarter time, 34 at the half. To 39. Game hasn't really got going in the second half so far. Shoots.
Well, it's okay for Chase Berger to put his hands up and say, why didn't anyone go? He was the closest man to Lockie Schultz, had to commit himself. That's where you've just got to take the initiative and say, well, I'll be the one that goes and try and kill the ball.
16 for Nick Dacos.
Mightn't be your job at the time, but sometimes you've got to adapt.
Hill comes towards side bottom, ignores that. Dacos goes into the pocket, ignores that. Down into the path of Elliott. It was a big fly, got two hands to it as well. Nearly something spectacular. Wines run down from behind. Brilliant defensive pressure from Schultz. The Pies take the advantage. And they kick the goal through Maynard. But it was all about the tackle from Lockie Schultz. Collingwood out now, 45 points. It was just the endeavour and the will. Turned over, they all thought they were going to kick a goal with that initial entry. Turns the ball over, and then they're all in defence mode with that ferocious chase. Very fortunate that Maynard finished off that work. He's only kicked 20 goals prior to that in his career. Look at that.
It's a great tackle.
You hit the nail on the head before. Tackling's about will. They want to.
Port Adelaide had to know Collingwood were going to do this.
Yes.
And they're getting smashed in the tackles, 48 to 26.
Oh, I'd love to see that again. I reckon Bobby Hill was telling Maynard not to take the advantage as he ran past him.
But he's going, I've run from half back. I'm not giving this up.
Collingwood have won 7 free kicks for holding the ball tonight, 2 for Port Adelaide. So the tackling is turning into frees, which is turning into scoring opportunities.
They beat them with the ball and they beat them without the ball tonight.
Turning them into goals. 45 points is the margin, 3 better than their win early last year here at the MCG. Port have time to turn this around, but just can't see it at the moment. Perryman sends him to deep water again. Elliott up early. McCreary, the 2 Port players to try and slow him down.
They just refuse to let the ball rebound out of their defensive 50. The mindset of the forward group, the forward 6 or 7 has been outstanding.
It's their 9th tackle inside forward 50.
Cameron palmed it down with intent. Pokey kick from Rosie. Can Maynard line up and kick another one? 2 in a row for Braden Maynard. Fair to say the Collingwood players and the fans are pretty happy about that. It's a rarity. Bit like having a bird then from above. Doesn't happen that often.
They have gone from ball lollies last week to chocolates this week, the Pies. And it's party time. They're starting to enjoy themselves again. They've got their mojo back. They are just bullying Port Adelaide. They are winning the territory battle effortlessly. They're pressing up. They're getting incredible defence around the ball in their forward 50, and then they've just got a wall should the ball come back out.
Braden Maynard, 210 games, 20 goals tonight. Braden Maynard, 2 in a minute. 2 in a minute. So Collingwood now, 51 points to the good. Port needs something. They're only going with the MCG all year, and it's turning into a horror show. Bobby Hill could get worse here. Trying to get around Sim, doesn't want to commit, still gets around him. Ken Hingley's made a change with that midfield mix. He's put Bergman inside. Don't often see that, but they're getting smashed in the clearances as we spoke about. They're 10 behind, so something needs to change.
Been quiet, Bobby Hill, just the 5 possessions, hasn't quite got into the game yet.
Free kick for out of the full off Bobby Hill to Finlayson. Just to place the ball in the wide. What can they do here, Port? Chain of hand pass down the Shane Warne stand wing. Richards back to Rosie. Goes on the 45, and in the end it's overhauled Francis to Jeremy Howe.
Again, they come a crop of Port Adelaide. They really need to dig in here. It's a long time left in this match. Not so much about winning now, it's just about getting some of the football, getting some respect. McGuinness up along that southern wing, just a placed ball. Finlayson got his way to the front, but then Henry with superior judgment pulls it down. Crisp, they creep along the flank. One good kick, and then they could be having a shot for goal. It just goes over the head of Jamie Elliott.
It's up to 11 possessions. Tim Membry has taken half a dozen marks, kicked 3 goals. They all came in the first term, but he continues to be a target, to be a connector for them. Now he's doing some ruck work.
Kicked the only 3 goals of this third quarter. They have 6 in a row. Hunting a 7th.
Got to get it out.
And that is holding the ball, so they get 1 back. Port Adelaide for holding the ball. And Kane Farrell.
And we mentioned it has been Bobby Hill's night. I mean, if he gets into the game, all hell could break loose. So we've just seen Collingwood have a really tough week after that poor performance last week. It's going to be the same for Port Adelaide the coming week.
Got Richmond next week. All right.
Richmond, Essendon and St Kilda.
Gee, they were good Thursday night.
Be careful, Chiefs. There's a lot of wounded Carlton fans. Sim sizes a ball to Bergman. He didn't let him down in the contest. Georgiades hasn't been a factor to date. To the debutant Joe Berry onto a Lear. Bit of flow here for Port. They look out of position forward though. Guinness does spectacularly. Can't quite grasp it. Falls to Powell Pepper. Side bottom arrives. Willie Rioli danger. Not quite.
They're just out of sync. They've got no flow or connection when they go forward to the football. Just their 27th inside 50, which is low.
And none of the kicks going inside 50 have been to the advantage.
Spot on. Spot on. Even that one was back shoulder of the Pies.
Willie Rioli is really the only dangerous looking forward at the moment for Port. Oh, look at this. Collingwood set play down the middle from the kick in. Maynard smashes it forward. Crisp runs on. Now a chance for Bobby. Flashing little hands. McCreary to Myercheck. Pass or shoot. Shoot to kill. They don't look too old or too slow now, the Pies. 7 in a row. And they have destroyed Port Adelaide.
If you want to draw up a set play and then execute it absolutely to perfection, this is what it looks like. The brave kick down the middle, take the game on, and then you just get runners. How have you gone from your defensive goal square to 2 players forward of the football within a blink of an eye? Brilliant offense, poor defense.
Just doing as they please now, the Pies.
Yep.
Running in numbers, and it's a forlorn outfit, Port Adelaide. They desperately have to salvage something before the end of this game, or they will limp out of here very, very meekly.
7 in a row. You think it's hot in the middle. The heater's just turned on in the concrete box, which is not ideal, Big Chief.
It is not.
Keep those arms down, big fella. It's cracking it out. Dacos cracked it out as well. Goes towards the pocket. Memory with that 2-step jump he takes. Forced along. Here comes Nick Dacos. Cue the crowd. Pies fans love it, as does Nick. They are absolutely burying Port Adelaide now. 91-29.
How quickly they're enjoying the game again, the Collingwood players. They are getting around each other. They are irrepressible when they get in this sort of mood. It's just surge mentality. Push the ball forward at every opportunity and then get numbers. Get front and square. Make sure every loose ball is ours. And they've just got numbers in support all the time. Every time someone gets caught, someone's running past. There's always an option. They are working so much harder than the Port Adelaide players.
Highlighted perfectly there as Dacos kicks it inside 50. He's next to 3 Port Adelaide players. And he's goal side of all 3 with a brilliant finish. That's what it feels like.
That's more like it. From Nick Dacos, Collingwood down by 52 points last week. Lead by 62 here, and they've got the appetite for some more. Yeah, Dakes is back. Pins the balls around in the middle, lines off to Hall Francis. Trying to get something generated out of the middle. Very careful. 2-handed bounce. Pops it forward. But awkward quickly for Houston. They had a good ally in Lipinski. Howe's kick partially smothered. Opportunity for Bogue. Looks up, fired it into Drew. Wasn't quite sure what to do next. They're cornered. They're caught. And they're forced into another ball up. Tackles up now. Ryan's to his own good there. Rioli isn't quite sure whether to fly, couldn't match Howe in the air, not many can. Bergman sends it sky high. Burn Jones at the back. Lukosius tried to work McGuinness under the ball. Quainer careful, crisp, and here they go, the Pies, sweeping off halfback. McGuinness came away after the handball from side bottom. Elliott happy just to linger a bit longer before he releases the next kick. Trying to sum up what was ahead. Now Perryman. So Perryman gets them to the other side. Lipinski. And then McCreary. Just jogs and waits till Lipinski is ready again. Just out of the reach of Long.
He went for the miracle.
Yep.
Probably just needed to send it. Got a little carried away.
Bit of a heat check. Everyone else has joined in and I'll try it as well.
Oh, we've got a fighter jet this time.
We got nothing for you. Entering ball. Can use the body by Quainer. Hasn't been required much tonight. Off the coaches, Quainer again. Elliott, here they come again. Collingwood. They've kicked 8 in a row. In the hands of side bottom. Sends it in the direction of Bobby Hill. He just rips a man to the ground. And that'll be a free kick. In the end, Logan Evans.
Oh, look at this. Just to rub salt into the wounds.
I'll be interested to see who they take off here. If it's another 6-day turnaround until they roll out again next Friday night against the Dogs, this will be a strategic play.
Oh, flirting with danger. Elliott wasn't far away. Still at bubbles. Was Hill legged? No.
I think he was legged, Hutto. 2 umpires didn't see it. Players around it did.
Or did he leg himself?
That's how you do that, Jace. But
just throw a leg into the mix and throw yourself back.
Yeah, my instinct as well. Drew, they chained the hands up. Boak, Power Pepper, a long way from home.
Nothing to kick to.
No, Boak covered was bare ahead, so kind of makes it up with a handball to me. And he just got shoved out of the road by Houston. Want to get it back. Still might. Long. Oh, scored him. Still, it doesn't matter. Wins it back cleanly. McStay, earnest effort to McCreary. They're coming across to McGuinness. He's got options. He had Elliott. He had Membry. He's had a huge night already. And he's happy to share a bit of the love towards Nick Dacos. Finlay some fancy hands considering, and Logan Evans will not thank him at all for that. It's another holding the ball. They have been hunted and hunted by the Magpies tonight.
Puts number 53. This is becoming infectious.
Another quality forward 50 tackle, creating a turnover.
Clever tackle too. Grabbed him with the wrist. There wasn't much Logan Evans could do. So Lipinski, as we mentioned, 4 goals last year in this fixture at the MCG. Kicked an early one tonight. And the Collingwood wingman and the crowd with a huge taste for footy. All they want is more, and they get a poster.
Did some damage with their percentage last week, but this is the percentage booster for them tonight.
Last 8 of the match. 21 up, quarter time, 34 at the half. This quarter it's blown out. With 5 goals to zip, a 63-point margin. Port just have no answers at the moment. Spread wide to Georgiades. Got a runner and the ruckman sweet. Not a great deal ahead of him. Rioli provides a lead. Goes in that direction now, overcooks it.
Well, that's a typical inside 50 kick for Port Adelaide tonight.
Port haven't kicked a goal since 38 seconds into the second quarter.
Oh, they won't do it with inside 50s like that. Maynard, he kicked a couple this term. Has to go inboard. Nothing really presenting. And the bright blue boots. Stays down the wing. Another contested mark by McStay. Got out of the way, did Membry, and now streaked back towards goal. McStay plays on. Drops it 20 from home. Elliott comes from the back. Nearly looked at the umpire, goes to Bobby Hill. Sullivan, another one for Collingwood. Pump of the fist, 9 in a row. Super Saturday Live, Collingwood doing a massive job on the power. This is the efficiency inside 450. 14 this quarter for the Pies for 6 goals won. And they're all jumping on board. It's predictable, Chief, and they're executing perfectly.
It's just one-way traffic, and they're all enjoying the fruits of the labour. It's been a team effort. They are monstering the opposition with just constant pressure. And great to see Bobby Hill just give the first option hand pass. He's really struggled to get into the game. You could have forgiven him trying to snap a miracle goal and maybe getting himself on the scorecard, but he saw Lockie Sullivan in a better position, and it became an easy snap goal. It's a really impressive performance, so far removed from what we saw in opening round.
Young Scott Pettigrew, it's a run now. Looks like one of these replaced one of the other 30 pluses. And Jeremy Howe, confirmation of that in a moment. As we mentioned, they are up Friday night after playing last Sunday. Wines, just a moment of hesitation. He and Boak, but again, falls down across half back. Houston's going to set up another play forward. Elliott and Membry awaiting back inside forward 50. So McStay ranging up through the middle. Wasn't a perfect kick back to Josh Dacos. Just had the 13 disposals tonight, Josh. Into Moore. Skipper lets everything settle. Sorting through the most compelling option goes along towards McStay, who just skipped up into the air. It takes the mark. A few moments ago, he was way up at half forward. Ran down and unfettered access to the footy, takes the mark. And he wants to add to his total as well. He has 2 already.
He's getting better as the game goes on. This will be possession number 16. He's taken 4 contested marks. He's got a couple of goals to his name. Could make it 3 right here.
Goalless last week. And could easily have had 3 tonight. This is there.
And Hutto, it appears that Port's made their sub as well. Lockie Jones is going to give way. Bershon comes onto the ground for his first run.
Farrell, a couple of short steps. High ball down the outer side. Georgiades and Moore. Moore wins it, taps into the path of Sullivan. Quaynor. Long. Deep ball. More Pies in action. Another goal. Another one for the Pies. Schultz does the damage. And this run of goals just continues for Collingwood. It's getting embarrassing if it's not already there for Port Adelaide.
It's already there. There's just no opposition. They're doing as they please, the Pies. You don't need to be playing down back for Port at the moment because there's no pressure on the ball coming in. And it's just good, honest competing for the footy, and then they know they're going to have support. There are numbers at ground level. As soon as the ball hits the ground, if it's not marked, you can guarantee there'll be a Collingwood player first on it. Lockie Schultz showing his Premier League skills. Slots it nicely.
Took a bit to get going last year. Lockie Schultz at his new club, but 24 goals, 21 in the end, and he has his first goal for the season tonight. There's Lockie Jones. It's a troubled bench at the moment, and they need to play well early in the year. There'll be a lot of noise out of the middle. Dacos. Too easy. Down to full forward. McStay was searching for his left. He found it on the other side. That makes sense. Made the shot for goal. Extremely difficult.
Just a couple of them getting carried away now. We saw a long try one from the similar spot. Dan McStay looking for something very fancy. You'd just like to see them continue to play the percentages. Just get that back into the middle and let the boys compete.
Finlayson short inside 50s, 50 to 29. Collingwood's advantage. They've kicked 7 unanswered this term and 10 in a row. Farrell for the switch. Burton has to wait underneath it. Membry arrives, more concerns. Pie options by hand. Schultz tries to bash it forward. Falcons himself, Nick Dacos. Breaks one tackle. Sullivan gets it across to Pendlebury. They repel, but for how long? Through Mead. Back to Mead in the 1-2 from Richards. They run through the middle of the ground. This is better. Mead takes a bounce. Outside of the foot, inside 50. Burn-Jones, did he mark it? Not sure. Umpire said he did.
That's their best transition of the game. So they had no targets forward, really. They had to run and carry, and they did that, linked up with hand pass through the middle of the ground. And then Mead, in the end, off the outside of his boot, found the one kick available, and that was to Darcy Burn-Jones, who pushed back and then led wide. And he gets the opportunity to finish off the work. But that's clearly their best passage of play tonight in terms of transitioning the ball from D50 to forward 50.
Darcy Burn-Jones picked 52 way back in the 2013 draft in his 200th game. Had one set shot opportunity earlier on tonight. Missed it to break a run of 10 Collingwood goals. Finally, something for Port Adelaide.
Let's go back to where it all started. Darcy Burn-Jones and his very first goal. It's the Bombers at home. Not pouring down his face. He'll be on the ground far away. We got about it for his whole career.
Someone just blood ruled him after he kicked it. Then he made his name as a halfbacker, and last few seasons he's been back as a forward.
BNF win in 2020, second in 2019. And he's on the board tonight in game 200.
And there's 2 quarters between goals for Port Adelaide, so it's back to 70 points.
Hasn't been fun playing at either end for Port tonight.
Not how he would have imagined his 200th game to work out, I'm sure, Darcy Burn-Jones. Pendlebury sprawled out in all of that. Longs playing in confidence, shooting off his quota. Floats it up for Schultz as they're buzzing around everywhere in this quarter. Wobbly old number inside 50 and read the cues. Oh. He's going to be play on, so the pressure was on. He restored the equilibrium that time, did Mead. Good hard running and handball. First with Horn Francis and then to Burgoyne. Get to half forward to Richards. Rioli's on his own in the goal square. Well, the kick reached him. Not immediately. Georgiades' tough night continues. It has not been easy to be a Port Adelaide forward tonight. Limited entries, and when it's got there, it's come in a pretty average fashion.
Had a lot of stability behind the football as well, the Pies. Intriguing to watch Darcy Moore that entices that kick over his head, Chief. Doesn't go back and play on his opponent, wants to come back with a flight of it and pick it off. But he had support at ground level as well.
Rare attack for Port. Long, Vaughan Francis, breaks a tackle, snaps it, and runs out on the floor. Any questions to be answered for Ken after tonight? More to reset. By Cameron, spills to the ground. Collingwood again off half back. Pendlebury. Sub turns it over. Most unusual. Back to Burton, the opposing sub. Moore looks in control of the contest. Well, not to infringe in the back. Burn-Jones cops Moore as well. Holding the ball. And Collingwood now having through the Pinsky.
Mitch Georgiades probably finding out how different it is playing at full forward when you don't have Charlie Dixon down there to absorb some of the big gorillas playing on it. 3/4 time at the MCG. And those that thought the round 1 performance was going to be indicative for Collingwood better think again. They've racked up the 100 already by 3/4 time. A 7-goal statement in the third, and they lead by 70 points in a powerful display on Super Saturday.
Here's to those.
All right, there we go, folks. The Pies are on the march. There's no easing up. There's no letting down. The Pies continue their way. 7 goals, 2 in the third term. 1 goal, 2 to Port Adelaide. The G King just subscribed. Thanks, brother. Thanks for that. How you fidget? How you doing? Adrian, I don't know whether I think Fremantle not quite as bad as Port Adelaide today. At least Fremantle had a little bit of fight and pressure and all that type of stuff in their game, whereas Port, well, I don't know. Port, this is just a little bit like a practice match for the Maggies today. I don't know what happened to them last week when they got absolutely spanked by GWS. I don't know why they got spanked by GWS, especially the way they're playing today. But it's good to see the Pies of old back. And I really do think the Pies can be a contender this year. And they get a few of their other players back in. But they're looking good so far, especially with the new additions in there. Pies 5th on the ladder at the moment. Yeah. I know, it's good, isn't it, Paul? We'll wait and see at the end of the weekend. Of course, half the teams haven't played yet. We played Geelong in Geelong. Port are just playing at the home of football. That's right. I mean, you've got to be able to play at the MCG, folks. That's where the big dance has been dealt every year. If you can't play the MCG, you're never going to win a flag because they've got the MCG Grand Final for the next umpteen years. It's a great ground. It's the best ground in Australia. There's no doubt about that for footy. The atmosphere is always fantastic. Of course, there's a big crowd in there today cheering on the Maggies, got the Magpie Army. I'm sure there's a few Port Adelaide fans there as well. I think Funko Po Boxing, he had plus 76.5 for Port Adelaide. There's still a quarter to go. You're only 6 points away, 70 points the margin. I can't see that going down. I can only see that extending out a little bit. But the Pies having a fantastic game. Again, they're kicking straight, which is good to see. You certainly need the Pies kicking straight. Let's have a quick gander at the goal scorers. What's happening over there? All right. There's a few. Let me just reload this. I want to make sure this is correct for everyone out there that's having a bit of a peek with me. There we go. Tim Membry. We've got a few multiple goal scorers for the Pies. Have a look at that. Tim Membry with 3. Myercheck, McStay with 2. Jamie Elliott with 2. They're the ones that we expect to kick goals, but have a look at this, folks. If you're a Collingwood supporter, you'd be smiling. Braden Maynard, there we go. He's got 2 goals. How often does he kick a goal? Not very often, because he's the backman. The tough backman down there. It's great to see him with a couple of sausage rolls for the Maggies. Lockie O'Sullivan, side bottom, Schultz, Lipinski, and Nick Dacos have snared a single for the Maggies. Jordan Sweet, Rioli, Lucasis, I think that's how you say it. Darcy Byrne-Jones and Travis Boak, the other single goal scorers there for Port Adelaide. Just having a look at the disposal getters. Who's leading the way on the ground at the moment? Well, there's Connor Rose from Port Adelaide there with 27 touches, 14 kicks, 3 handballs, 3 marks, 4 tackles, 4 clearances. He's doing okay there for Port. Dan Houston, tell you what, he's having a cracker of a game for the Pies. Dan Houston, 23, 12 and 11. Having a good game. Ollie Wines lifting his game a bit for Port Adelaide on 22. The old boy still side bottom. There we go. He's up to 21. All those Nick Dacos fans out there. Yes, he's lifted his game. He's up to 20 now. 14 kicks, 6 handballs, 4 marks, 4 clearances, 1 goal, 1. I'm sure we'll see the old boy coming on not too far away. You see him right down there. Scotty Pendlebury. Oh, Scotty's just been put onto the ground. He was a sub today. He's had 1 disposal. He's had 1 kick. The old champ. All right, let's get back down to the ground. And they're going to take us to the bounce of the ball. We got 50 seconds before we get underway. 3/4 time here at the MCG. It's the Magpies by 70. Stick around. If you're a Magpie fan, this is a happy day for you. Let's get back down to the ground.
Adelaide, who have had no answers for the relentless pressure that Collingwood has brought tonight. We knew they were going to come out savage after the week that had Dal, but this has been super impressive and it's been led by some incredible tackling.
Yeah, right. And you can only imagine the conversations they would have had off the back of last week's performance. And the evidence before us is it was based on pressure. They have brought the heat. It's hot enough as it is, but imagine how Port Adelaide are feeling right now. It has been all around the willingness to chase, to get in numbers and get that football back as quickly as possible. They've used the ball. They've used the ball really well, but it's been off the back of turnovers. And unfortunately, Port Adelaide just have not had any answers in all phases of the game.
The desire to tackle and chase has been outstanding. This is probably the big story that's going to come out of it now. We know there's an arrangement with Ken Hinkley to Josh Carr at the end of the season. This hasn't started the way they wanted to.
No, this is a delicate one, and clearly it'll be on the personality types about how will the remainder of this year play out. He's an experienced man. He's done a brilliant job for a very long time, Ken Hinkley. I'm already fascinated about what his post-game press conference will be. What is the communication? How much responsibility does he have? Or does he just say it's week one and we're going to work through this?
We head back down boundary side to Eddie Benson, Brad Johnson. Last time we saw Jono, he was having a little bit of bird trouble. I wonder if he's got on top of that, Jono.
I'm all right now. I've got the covers on. Jackson, so we're good to go. I'll tell you who's been on fire tonight, though, apart from the Seagulls, has been Dan Houston. He has been sensational with his run and drive, 23 disposals. But what I've liked is, when you look at his heat map as well, it's all through the corridor. So he shows Collingwood up, being able to go forward and go forward with effect.
He is, and he's an absolute superstar, and they're looking after him as well. And you're always putting, when you're going to play your old side, and it's round 2 and it's round 1 for them, and they're having a great game. So look forward to him running, giving a hand pass in 50 and bombing a goal in this last corner.
Eddie Benson, Brad Johnson. All right, what's Port going to deliver for us in this last quarter?
Well, we've got half an hour to salvage a bit of pride, Hutto, and that is all they can chase at the moment because it has been horrible.
We saw Collingwood's intent, even before the game tonight. We saw really passion, Darcy Moore. It's not something to this level of intensity you always see from Collingwood.
But you had to expect it. You had to after the week that they'd had.
Collingwood fans would love this, I think.
They got hounded for their performance last week. So the jokes are gone. It's serious business. And haven't they answered in the best possible fashion? But now the story transfers to Port Adelaide and how they recover from a hiding. Can they find something in the last half hour to at least take into next week's preparation?
All right, extended three-quarter time break because of the heat, but we're ready to go now. 70-point margin. Round 1, MCG, big crowd. Cameron, side bottom, lead. And one of their better players, and he did well with the tackle there. The advantage taken by Rosie. The Port captain to full forward. Equal numbers in the air. Controlled by McGuinness. He's done well tonight in his second game down back. Dacos to Crisp as they play the flanks. And interesting handballs all the way along. We know this is the greasiest part of the ground. So Crisp was pretty easy tackling for Drew, who's probably unlucky not to win a free kick out of that.
Yeah, I think he should have been rewarded for that effort, Will and Drew.
They've been cautious on this side of the ground all night. Obviously watching last night, the players slipping over on the members' wing, members half forward. Both teams have been cautious in this part of the ground.
Still warm down there, John?
Yeah, it's still warm out here. It has cooled a tiny bit, but still, it's actually perfect now for footy.
Dacos outside of the foot. Sets a task of Myercheck, Aaliyah is up to it and kills it.
It's a great example there of what you get from Brody Myercheck. He was out of position, but he found a way to push back without giving a free kick away and halve the contest.
Cameron and Sweet resume their battle. Wines, Drew started on Nick Dacos. Pendlebury applies a good tackle and just tries to wipe it forward by hand. Evans gets rid of it just and Drew one of the lines.
This game is being won on pressure when the Pies don't have the football and then their willingness to outnumber at the next contest. You can take a photo of that contest and there's 3-1 Pies versus Port. They are bees to the honeypot trying to support teammates.
All comes back to work rate, Dale.
Sweet decisively down to me. Dacos, though, looked to intervene. Drew took the chance to tackle. Evans. Yeah, no route out of there for him. Instant tackling from Collingwood. It's been there for all to see right from the get-go tonight. Almost double the amount of tackles. Cameron tapped it down straight to Burgoyne, though. Scramble ball. Josh Dacos versus Rioli.
It's going to get done here. Umpire in the background saying we're going to pay insufficient intent as the ball was still in flight.
Yeah.
Bit harsh, I reckon, that one.
It was in the sense that Rioli could have got to it, really, couldn't he? Or Dacos wasn't there. The big prominent fist by Logan Evans, parried back by Sullivan. Side bottom, Houston, Fane one way, ducks back to the left. We know he can kick a long ball, Chris, and a short one. And he finds the stocky shots.
A clever little tap from Lockie Sullivan, wasn't it? Just to keep the ball.
Ken Hickman
There
talked
it
about
was. There it was.
goals kick with no advantage. Sorry, Dan. Haven't had much to get upset about tonight, to be fair to Collingwood fans. And they do like to generally get upset every now and then.
They're a greedy bunch, aren't they, Ho?
You said it, Del. So he's had plenty of time to think about it. Not going to be a goal. Not for him anyway. But they haven't killed it yet, but now it's out. Throw him up. 7 goals to 1 in the third turn. They kicked 10 in a row, Collingwood. Before Burn Jones kicked the last of the third. Burton ripped off the footy. Winds, sweep. Spirals the ball out of defence. Josh Dacos stands underneath it. It's back off the mark. Wide options and short. Side bottom. Big gap. To Pendlebury.
It was 3 or 4 Port players, very close, all guarding space, but no one guarding Pendlebury, which is extraordinary given the man's reputation.
Started a sub game, 405, 201 goals.
It's actually worked out perfectly, Howie. If they're resting him to get through the, the tight workload of these 3 games, this is the perfect way to do it.
We'll have to kick it from just outside 50. Pendlebury hits it pretty well, starts to drift. And took the post.
So they didn't need to bring him on too early. Everything's under control.
That's a lot of football, Chief. In a demanding game at the level that he's played at from a very young age.
Just the 405.
Went past KB last week. Dacos plays it back. They're ready to come again. Perryman towards full forward. The early rise from Elliott. McStay. They played it in pretty crafty fashion. 223 Brownlow votes for Scott Pendlebury, the most votes by anyone that hasn't won. He plays his 307th game alongside Steele Sidebottom tonight, equaling the dual record of McLeod and Edwards for 2 team players that have played the most games together. Rosie to go back through the traffic. Oh, Bergman. Was that front-on contact? Chris did wonderfully well not to give away the free.
Well, I like the way the umpire interpreted that because he was on the run and pushing into a stationary Collingwood player with his head down. So happy to see that call play on.
Tackling from Sweet, got down and dirty, and they win the ball back. Need a better effort and return, Port Adelaide in this quarter. Josh Dacos circling again. Houston, possession 26. A handball on the bounce to side, bottom just slides the kick out of the pocket. Bobby was climbing. Yeah, he's unrealistic. He should never be penalised for unrealistic.
Yeah. It's been that sort of night for Bobby though. Nothing's worked for him. Just the 7 possessions, hasn't hit the scoreboard.
It's why everyone has to keep watching though, because in this last quarter we could see anything from Bobby.
But it's also positive for Collingwood. Getting great contribution across the board without Bobby having to do the flashy things.
Bergen stands underneath a long bomb from Finlayson, Richards. But Perryman was there. Maynard kicked 2 goals in the space of a minute. Oh gee there, Nick Dacos takes it off Pendlebury.
Sign of the times.
Well, yeah.
Move over, old fella.
Hang in there, Scotty, hang in there. Side bottom. Uses it to Lipinski.
They're still working hard, still making space, and they're just reactive, Port Adelaide.
And there is the champ. Off one step with that. Just slicing him. Stay was 15 metres away from Finlayson.
Based on work rate, they win the ball back on the far side. They have multiple uncontested possessions to work their way back. Inside 50, and Stay has another set shot.
Kick 2, missed a third from directly in front. Been good though, Dan McStay had plenty of the footy. This is his
18th disposal, 2 goals, 2. Oh, what a finish that is. It is that type of night for the Pies. McStay with a third. Big smile from D. Roden. And the Pies extend again out by 77.
Putting together a big game numbers-wise, Dale. You can see the forlorn face of the Port supporters, but this again, they just push into space. And the Port players can't or don't go with them. And they did this so easily all the way down the ground. Inside 50, uncontested mark, and another goal to McStay, who's now at 18 possessions. 3 goals, 2. Done some great work around the ground, a little bit of ruck work as well.
It's a big night. Those are big numbers for a key forward or a hybrid forward. This is what they look like. 3 games in 13 days, which challenges everybody, which becomes the management piece for the high-performance team in Craig McRae.
Good look in the background too. Jeremy Howe's been subbed out, having a chat to Reece McInnes, who's having a spell. Just talking about the, the ins and outs of playing down back.
The education piece. Really dancing on the spot. And in fact, he backed over the line.
Darcy Moore back onto the ground. A lot said about him. His numbers are pretty solid. He's been 6 one-on-ones tonight. He's won 4 and drawn 2. So he's looking good. Not to lose but 1-on-1.
Sweet, battling on gamely, and the ball found him again. Bo sliding the handball forward to Drew, squeezes the kick, more presence again. Takes the mark so comfortably.
With that 5 wins and 2 draws.
Maynard tries to get running out of defence. Got held up by Power Pepper. After how long? Drops it in short to Nick Dacos. Who's telling them where he's going to kick, and look at that. The creativity from Nick Dacos. Membry handed off to Lipinski, who goes to Myercheck.
I think someone needs to get out to Jeremy Finlayson. He has literally stopped running. Not sure if there's something wrong with him physically. But the last 2 times he's absolutely cooked with arms on head, gasping for air.
It just looked like a training drill.
It does.
The ball from one end of the ground to the other.
So Membry has 3, McStay has 3, and Myercheck has 3.
And got a smile from David Roden to go up by. Look, we've said it a lot, but they're doing as they please.
He said it was a training run. Chief, let's have a look at the Bunnings warehouse build-up.
But you can have a look, it was great vision. He'd seen Membry get out the back, Nick Dacos. And then Lipinski, he's just jogging half pace. And then he's got all the time in the world to pick out a target. Myercheck, who's 5 metres clear on the lead. It's super impressive the way they fought back after last week. I mean, there's going to be a brutal review for the Blues. They would have had it already after the first night loss to the Tigers. I suspect it's going to be just as brutal for Port Adelaide after this one.
We'll take on Richmond at home next week. Collingwood, you saw, take on the Dogs, and then the week after that, Carlton. Game high, 83-point margin. Of course, Geelong defeat. Burton pushed off by McCreary. Burst his way through was Long. Burton has a second attempt. Pendlebury got rid of Rosie. Didn't have the football. Long gets a third crack at it. Bends around. Bergman in the right spot in front of Elliott. Comes to the near side. Does Miles in his 6th season. On his best effort. Only a good kick of the footy. Josh Dacos. Looks back by hand. Maynard won't have Long. Tapped it in front. Joe Berry arrives. Side bottom arrives and picks it up.
Just a 65% kicking efficiency for Port tonight, which is well below competition average, normally up in the low to mid-70s.
There's so many things that Port Adelaide need to get better and get better quickly. Chris to Bobby Hill. Crowd rising expectations. It's time to turn it on. A bit of Bobby for you.
Got off that AJ's for Ash Johnson, who unfortunately fractured his left fibula today in the AFL. Whether that's pointing it out to him, but he's got AJ on his wrist. but
I suspect it would be, Howie.
either way, hope Ash is up and firing soon.
It's a beautiful finish in the end. It's explosive. He does find that bit of space, he's away. Ran his full journey. It's a good finish. An exquisite finish when you're running at that pace. There's the little nod to the teammate.
Did well to know where the camera was as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good awareness.
They are very, very well educated in those respects now, aren't they? They know exactly what's going on.
So tonight, Jason Moore and Francis Maynard's kicked a couple. Scored to the cross. And look at that scoreboard, 89 points. Off the back of a huge pre-season, a couple of practice matches, a lot of intra-clubs.
Could very easily get up over 100.
Which the three numbers is another story. And then you waltz out onto the MCG, the only time you'll be here for the year, minus finals, in front of 63,500. Big 3 nights, 80,000 on Thursday. How many was here?
80 again.
80 again, so 160s. What's that, 220 odd?
Is it? Oh, sorry, 223, yeah. Nice 3 nights at the G, 40 years back.
Absolutely. Hanging ball from Burton is good to Bergman. Forward hand pass to Rosie. Whips round onto his right. Piercing. Long ball into the pocket. Burn Jones. Josh Dacos had him. Jace Burgoyne. Back to Georgiades. Quiet night. Still side bottom. Takes it from bad to worse. Tackle number 64 of the evening. And another holding the ball.
Georgiades kicked 44 goals last season as he returned from an ACL. It was a tremendous comeback to top 5 footy, but he's found it pretty tough tonight. Boak, speaking of tough.
I've got to say, if you tackle and pressure the way Collingwood had tonight, I genuinely believe you'll beat most teams. If you can operate at this level for 4 quarters, which they've done, you will win most games.
The Port have only laid 39 tackles themselves tonight, despite losing the contested possession count. Ryan sends it forward. Up the deal last year after 3 relatively stable ones for the former Hawk. Adelaide boy Ryan Burton. These days spends most of his time in defence, and that's kind of how it looked there. Mead snatched by the desperate Perryman. King's looking for the bounce pass through to Sullivan, and it's gone back over the line and out of bounds.
Rioli, kick smothered off the foot of a pie. Side bottom. Wobbles it out of defence. Sin has one chance. Knew Bobby Hill was coming and worried him. Back to number 11, Finlayson. Risky ball, cut off by the Pies. McStay. Well done in the end by Bergman. Stopped the real run at goal. They're not out of the problems yet, though, because it goes to side bottom. He's got options galore inside. Schultz by hand. Bobby Hill. Oh, Bobby! Sidestep and passes it off. And Memory, who started in the first term with 3, bangs another one home. He's got 4. Good goal, but the sidestep from Bobby was worth the price of the ticket line.
Oh, he's an excitement machine, but the impressive thing that we've seen unfold tonight is Collingwood running Port Adelaide off their feet. They can barely jog at the moment. Port Adelaide players, they're walking around hands on hips, hands on hands. They were outnumbered. I think they had 2 defenders against 5 forwards there when the ball was going forward. And every time they thought they had an easy bailout kick, look at the numbers 3 on 1 there. There's always been Collingwood players to smother, to tackle, to harass, breaks a tackle there. And then look at them queuing up. There's others in the corridor. That's 4 on 1.
It's a big score, isn't it? 20 goals, 10, 130. The biggest win last year was 66 points against West Coast. Already it's 89. And the tall Pies have been profitable tonight. Pendlebury and Crisp. Just a pop kick for Long, didn't mark it. And then his kick was smothered. Farrell kind of stormed out of defence. Reaching for it was Drew, put it in the path of Boak. Certainly hasn't been their worst, the veteran. Lukosius is a long kick. Horse Francis couldn't quite drag it in, mainly due to that man Maynard. Never out of it. Bundled up to Quainer, and he comes again, Maynard.
Oh, so lucky. He worked so hard. His second effort after he'd scored to then dive and punch the ball away from the incoming Port players. We know he's pushed forward, kicked a couple of goals, but he's still got that desperate defensive mindset where it's needed.
Yeah, he'll just go straight to that 3-minute patch when he wants to
Off again. Look at the numbers.
Membry.
Aaliyah can't run. He's out on his feet.
Dacos, he's got Bobby deep, hits Bobby. Does he play on? He's thinking about it. He's seen Nick, he's thinking about it. He's still on bended knee though. Bobby Hill is still thinking about passing back, and they're saying, Bobby, kick the goal. Kick the goal, Bobby. So take it out if he can kick it to a 95-point margin. He's kicked one, Bobby Hill.
Banana on their foot.
One stepper. Two for Bobby.
Well, I mentioned Aaliyah in the call. There were 3 or 4 players that couldn't. They were out on their feet.
You tell me a time where you've seen a team outrun another team this time of the year to this degree. Aaliyah's not alone. We mentioned Finlayson earlier. I've watched 2 Port players drop from the ground limping, whether it's cramp, just or physically just can't go anymore. They have been run off their legs halfway through the second quarter.
Well, we know it's a hot night. The heat policy's there, so they've had slightly longer breaks at quarter time and three-quarter time, but gee, people are doubting Collingwood's fitness and a couple of players and that sort of thing last week. They put that to bed.
Interesting, isn't it? I mean, they played last week, Collingwood. You wonder what effect that has, but that's a help put up. Ken Hinkley traditionally has been a good coach in round 1, 12 times in his 12 seasons, 10 wins, and just the 2 losses, 2 narrow losses too, but unfortunately not so tonight. 95 points is the margin. Poke forward by Drew. Any scores will help the Port Adelaide cause just a little in this final term. So Hawthorne, there's Josh Cart. Hopefully he's happy with what he's going to inherit. Pendlebury. There's Josh Dacos to try and get it to the outside. Lee did well. Drew, even better. And Georgiades does get finally a decent look at the sticks.
It's interesting you talk about those opening round teams, Hunter. The only one that played in the opening round and lost has been the Swans. But they had a great first quarter and got off to a flyer, and they only got beaten in a tight one by a kick by the reigning premier in Brisbane.
Yep.
So there's something to be said that when you've got to run under your belt, you're better for it, aren't you?
So he's had to wait, Miss Georgiades. Returned in style last year from that knee injury. The echo of boos around the MCG, and sadly, at this stage at least, he can't walk away from a disappointing night with a goal next to his name.
Josh Dacos. Bobby Hill stays down. Burton just marks simply on his chest in the end. Under 4.5 to go. Sweeping ball. Richards. Short. It's pretty pinpoint to Travbo. See if Trav's got the journey from here. And kicking from just inside 50. AFL game 372 drawing level of Adam Goods. Equal 11th most VFL AFL games of all time.
And look, you think he'd be managed a bit this year. What's going to be his last season of AFL footy? We think it would be, but I tell you tonight, he's been one of their best.
25 disposals, he's kicked one. Trav Boat, the boy from Torquay, hits the post.
And Adelaide have only ever been beaten by 100 points 3 times in their history. The worst was 165 points in 2011. Ooh, double check that. That's 65. That's a big loss. They were pretty bad.
That's a huge score.
2011, I'm going to have a guess and say it was either the Pies or the Cats.
Yeah, hello, smile. The Cats.
Down to the Cannery.
86 points is Ken's worst loss. So that's the areas we're in now. And they scramble back. Hands from Richards. Rosie takes off. He's still got the vim and the vigour. And doesn't quite reach the line, but cramping up all over the place. That's a big stretch from the big man, Jordan Sweet. He's not going too far.
So we'll steal side bottom in the box. Swung to the ground. He's all okay. Collingwood progresses out towards the wing. Schultz takes on the tackle, buries his head. Maynard, underground ball, might clean ball a lot of them. Finlayson squawks it across. Look at Jordan Sweet on the boundary there. He's absolutely spent.
Jeremy Finlayson desperately wants a spell, and there's no one to come.
You don't see that often. Players trying to get off the ground.
I don't think Sweetie was any position to get back on.
Oh, you feel they are out on their feet. They just want the final siren.
Wines, Burgoyne. That was a little paddle from Boak. Pendlebury, hands and knees.
So the clearances have been tidied up by Port. They've actually just got their noses in front of that one particular stat. That's about as good as it looks on their stat sheet. The damage had been done early. Been comfortably in the centre clearance and around the ground stoppages, which allowed them to have field position.
So 50, 67 to 43 the way of the Pies. Led by 21 at quarter time, 34 at the half, 70 at three-quarter time. They've been up 92 points. Lipinski still siding his way through the middle. And Richards, Rosie, Rioli. Drops into the pocket towards Powell Pepper, hits him nicely. Tough angle. Good to see Powell Pepper back out there after that serious ACL. Just 3 games in the season 2024. To keep it away from a 100-point margin. Might do it.
It's an interesting choice.
Well, that was stout. That was the real deal, was it?
I think it was.
At least he's got options. I'm jealous.
Ball up along the wing. Shots, Quainer, the Collingwood chant around the MCG. Huge leap from Elliott, still had the juice to get up, but maybe not to bring the footy down. Farrell toiled all night. So is the captain, Rosie. Possession number 34 is imminent. Where's it going? Beckoning his teammates to come up to the footy. They couldn't really get a good look at it. Kosher spelled away from this man, Powell Pepper, spinning back for Drew. Eyes up into the 50. And it's going to be Boak or Richards in the end. It's neither. All still greasy. Wines, Pendlebury, behind those facts. Sullivan, Schultz with the slide.
And once again got Dacos.
Kona comes away. McStay takes off. Just trying to work out who to go to next. Just
Just run it, yeah.
now to Nick Dacos. He just sets it up for the lead of Membry. Met by the fist of Finlayson. And then the pokey tap down from Evans to Mead. One last chance perhaps for Port to get a very belated goal. That'll take Rosie to connect with Rioli. It'll be beyond him now, as it's been beyond them all night. How quickly things can change in football. Collingwood right the wrongs of the opening round with a 91-point demolition of Port Adelaide. Ken Hinkley begins his final season in the worst way imaginable with his worst ever loss. And don't the Collingwood fans love it? Time 34 at the half, 70 at three-quarter time on the back of a 7-goal one-third term in the end, a 91-point victory. Membry with 4, Myercheck 3, McStay 3, Boy Hill kicked a couple. It was slim pickings football. Well, all phases of the game was absolutely controlled by the Pies. Maybe outside the first 5 to 10 minutes, where it was a tiny bit shaky cheek. They missed a couple of opportunities in front of goal. But they've come in tonight with a purpose and a mission, and they have absolutely ticked it off. Just caught a glimpse of the two coaches. Paper please saying, good luck this week, your turn. Yeah. It was me last week, I'm going to hand it over. You can see it's out there with Dan Houston and his former teammates.
I suspect that's who our Bradley Johnson might be chasing down as we speak. Let's go down to Jono now.
Yeah, Jace, yeah, well done. It's obviously a big week for you. So how did you feel leading into playing against a team you were very successful with as well?
Yeah, it was a tough week. It's one of those ones probably never going to happen again. First game against Port, so I was a little bit nervous. I got a lot of respect for the club and the boys, so I wasn't sure what Kenny was going to throw at me. But yeah, I've got a lot of respect for the club. It was a long week, but I'm so glad to be at Collingwood and get the win.
Wasn't bad, was it, when you heard the final siren go and the cheer from 60,000 Collingwood fans?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, this is what you dream about when you're a kid, to play in front of a crowd like this. It's got your back, so loud. To get a win like this, unbelievable.
Tackle pressure was back tonight.
Yeah, it was. I think last week we probably, I think we had 39 tackles or something. So it was on the whiteboard this week, and I thought the boys lifted. We rocked up in numbers and, yeah, got after them.
You're a bit stiff when the umpire called the one backwards Schultze handball to you.
Oh, I know. I was like, can't. And then shoot and miss, so I was a bit flat. But, nah, it's good. The boys, the forwards kicked pretty straight, which is good.
It was good to watch some of your flow, even the trick play. Not a trick play, it's a kicking goal, but the way that you're able to structure that, set it up nicely and score with my check.
Yeah, there was. There's a lot of unpredictability about how we play, but we get numbers there, and yeah, Brazzy, I think, made that one up, and it ended up in the score, which is good.
Did you do things differently this week? Obviously, the boys cramped a lot last week. I was at the game live as well. Did your preparations a little bit different in the lead-up?
No, we felt like a fair bit. It was the conditions because both teams were cramping last week. I wasn't there, obviously. Bit of cramp for me tonight and a few other boys, but that's just what happens at the start of the year. It's pretty hot today as well.
Well done. First game for the Pies. Awesome win, and congratulations.
Thanks, Joe. Cheers, mate.
All smiles, Dan Houston, 27 disposals, and he set the scene for them, didn't he, off half-back?
He did. He used the ball beautifully. And that's what they recruited him for. They've got another fantastic ball user as he embraces more of his former teammates. It's been a wonderful night for the Pies. I expected them to be savage when they got it. I didn't expect what we got from Port Adelaide. That's the flip side of the story.
Down to any bets.
Yeah, guys, I'm down here with Tim Membry. Timmy's just soaking it all up. Just down here, Timmy. How good is that, mate? First win as a Pie. How you feeling?
Yeah, it's obviously amazing. The boys have been talking about the amazing fans, and they're just so incredible loud, and yeah, the boys really feed off it. So it was good to get the first one on the board.
So last week, the way you played, what changed during the week? What changed tonight? Come away with a 90-point win. It's phenomenal.
I think we just turned it up in the contest first and foremost, and then just probably the way we moved the ball. We really went to work on it during the week, and it's good to see the guys. Having Dan back there, and Joshy Dacos and those guys just really get it going.
And speaking about Dan and my check as well, the 3 tours down there, the perfect 10 between you. You look very dangerous.
Oh, it's just great, having those guys around me and up forward. They're just big presence. They compete very strongly in the air. We've got superstars at our feet, so it's awesome.
And then this last one yourself, 4 goals tonight. It's good to kick a bag.
Yeah, it's nice. Obviously to go on the end of a few, but to do it in front of a big crowd, and then just to get to work with the boys up forward, and we get great supply from our mid, so it was awesome.
Well done, mate. Go soak it up, and congratulations on the win. Well done.
17 disposals, 4 goals, 1 for Tim Membry. So he's settling into the black and white spot pretty well.
Yeah, well, it's nice to be a forward when the ball's coming in like it did 65 times today inside 50. And Ed asked a great question there about the ability to work in with others. They have multiple options. Someone can get up the ground and be that link player. They've still got a couple of good looks in front of the footballers. We have a look at the next 4 weeks for the Pies, and they've got a couple of challenges. And there's a Dogs next week, which is a big game. So there's the Friday night football back at the G.
The 100-year celebrations, the Bulldogs celebrating. So that'll be huge.
Jeff, there were some questions during the week about the fitness of this football club. Can we put that to bed?
I think we can.
We can put that to bed.
It was interesting what the efficiencies in both teams crammed. But we just took notice of Collingwood because they were so uncompetitive on the scoreboard.
That's probably how early, particularly it was Nick, wasn't it? Which was unexpected.
But he'd done so much high-end running early on in that game, which was exceptional and over and above what you'd expect anyone to do normally.
Yeah, so probably too much.
Yeah.
26 disposals for each of the Dacos boys.
Yeah, and it wasn't a dominant performance from Nick Dacos. In the first quarter, he did an absolute fantastic job. Willem Drew kept you up 5 possessions, but he worked his way back in the contest because he is such a good competitor. He got on the end of one, kicked a goal, which was nice, but it was just a good performance. It wasn't one of those dominant performances from him. It was a really good team contribution across the board for the Collingwood players tonight.
What went wrong? Doubt for Port. They turn up here today. They won game at the MCG for the season. They get rolled by 91 points.
Can I go with a little bit of everything? I'm going to start in the midfield, Howie, and that's why Mids gets so much credit. But when you were losing, or when they were losing the clearances, centre square bounce and then around the ground, significantly, you put yourself under a lot of pressure. And I think the defenders as a whole probably have the right to say, hey guys, we've got to slow this flow. It's just coming in far too quick. They were getting isolated. And then off the back of that, I can't recall a team, let's even go in recent years, that have been run off their legs tonight. That was as tired of a team in Port that I've seen that early in the game, and the Pies were just out in numbers, in waves fall to the football.
Yeah, that third quarter almost looked like a training drill at times when they banged on 7 goals to 1 and 10 in a row off the back of the last 3 of the second term. At that stage, Port looked uncompetitive.
Yeah, well, round 1 does throw up some peculiar results often, doesn't it? So it's, as Michael Voss faces, it's trying to consider like the heat and the impact of all that, plus round 1.
And we give everyone a chance, as we gave Collingwood a chance after last week.
Very kind.
So you need to see a response from Carlton next week. You need to see a response from Port Adelaide next week, because they have been horrific performances in round 1.
Port taking on Richmond at home next week, and what will be a celebration as Travis Boat passes the record we talked about earlier on. Hello?
Yep, Russell Ebert.
And Russell Ebert for 392 total games for the Port Adelaide Football Club. It's all about Collingwood now. And they take on the Dogs on Friday night. Comprehensive performance. They won all 4 quarters, the Pies, in front of 63,000 plus.
This could be a loud version down in the rooms.
Always full the Collingwood rooms after a win. So well done to the Pies. They're on the board in season 2025. 91-point winners over Port Adelaide.
MCG tonight, they've responded to their opening round loss in emphatic fashion, completely obliterating Port Adelaide by 91 points. That, gentlemen, is the Collingwood football we love to see.
Yeah, it was a drubbing, wasn't it? It's Collingwood at their absolute best, and what a great way to, wipe off last week's performance against GWS Giants, and certainly for a side that looked extremely slow last week here, they looked very, very fast and slick tonight.
Yeah, without the footy is what I rate. When we're watching games like this, how hard are you to play against? And last week, Collingwood were exposed everywhere. Leg speed through the middle. When they lost the ball, 1 metre become 5, become 10, it become easy for the Giants to score. They put them to the sword so quickly. Tonight was the complete reverse. And it screams of a team that sat down during the week and said, this is not us. This is unacceptable. We've got a week to correct and go again. And they must have thrived during the week at that challenge. To put Port Adelaide into a tailspin like they have is something that all clubs absolutely love to do. They've sent them crashing to the ground. Where are we at? Who are we? And then right now, you look at how they played. This is role mastery. Everyone played their part tonight. There wasn't a poor performer.
There are two stories tonight, isn't it? And we'll touch on Port Adelaide later on, but we've got to celebrate the winners tonight. And I think the big stat was the tackle count, because it was mentioned time and time again throughout the week. 39 tackles for the entire game last week. They had 38 by half-time, finished with 68.
Yeah, I think tackling just shows I want to get over and get numbers in the screen. When coaches look at and review games about numbers in the screen, it's not. Collingwood had more numbers in the screen in nearly every occasion that we saw on there. That plus 30 tackles from last week, plus inside 50, 17 tonight as well. It was a pure domination. Dan Houston came back into this side, and obviously playing against his old side had a massive impact. And it was good to hear from him after the game that he was nervous about the week and wanted to obviously get it over and done with. But I thought it was an impressive performance all around.
Yeah, I think attitude is the number one thing they'll take from this. I mean, they actually lost clearances. Port Adelaide won the clearances, only +3, but it's still a victory for them in there. So you've got to then go and win the ball back. So the opposition is starting with the ball more than you. They conceded 1 goal 3 from stoppages. Now that's ridiculous. That is an unbelievable effort without the footy. So it's all those things you're talking about. It's players playing their role. Dan Houston wins the ball back 10 times, highest on the field. Josh Dacos is involved. 9 times he wins the ball back for his team. So that's your halfback flankers getting involved. Everything works when Collingwood are counter-punching from halfback. They're brilliant at speed, and they played a team tonight that didn't really want to engage. So I think you can be too glowing sometimes and too down other times, like we probably were last week. But they corrected the speed problem in the middle of the ground through attitude.
The other one's system as well. I think Craig McRae has brought a system that I think started at Richmond. He was obviously an assistant coach there, and he's brought this system along. And when it works, it really works. But all it takes is sort of 4 or 5 cogs in the system to break down, and it really affects the way they play. And that happened last week. But when it hums, it absolutely hums, and it was humming tonight.
What about Nick Dacos as well? He was one of the big stories throughout the week. He copped so much of the media attention. And as Jason Dunstall said, it wasn't his best game, it wasn't the most dominant performance, but it was a good performance. And coming off the back of last week, I mean, we don't know what it's like, or perhaps maybe you two do, but to cop that much of attention on his performance, it was a great response from him tonight.
Yeah, 26 disposals, obviously. You can see him. Looks like we're going to chat to Nick very soon. But I think the important fact of Nick Dacos' game tonight, he's had 9 inside 50s, and he's arguably one of the best ball users in the game. And if he's having 9 inside 50s, you know that they're going to be going to good looks for Collingwood.
I think Craig McRae was about to give him a massage. And I've seen 15 people massage Nick Dacos tonight, but no, what a night it's been.
And he's been good enough to join us right now. Nick Dacos, congratulations on the win and the performance by you this evening. Who are the little kids you were just signing jumpers for?
I think it's one of Fly's friends. Firstly, thank you for having me, but he just got me to meet one of his family friends named Billy. So he had a big smile on his face, and I think he was happy with the win, which was awesome.
And you've got a big smile on your face too. How relieving is that victory and performance tonight?
Oh, awesome. We're a system-based team, and we like to say that we're also very process-driven. So while last week was super disappointing, we just got back to work this week on the training track, but just sort of seeing how we played. I think we played a fun brand of footy, brought the crowd into it, and we've got such a dynamic forward line, so it's hard to stop them when the ball's coming in quick, and we were able to get them in the game, and they're just so exciting to watch. Some of our small forwards, when you see them up and about, it gives us all so much energy.
Nick, I want to take you back to last week just really quickly. Obviously, cramped in the third quarter, and it was I think the most famous cramp we could ever hear about. But what did you make of the commentary around yourself last week, and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, I've tried to be off socials this week. I just wanted to get back to work, have a really good week on the training track. It was very abnormal for me to be cramping, especially so early, but I just wanted to prepare as well as I could. I tried to block out all the noise. However, I do pride myself on my professionalism, so I thought it was quite disappointing to be cramping, and I thought a lot of the comments, to be honest, were fair enough. So it was on me to come out and really drive the pressure and run tonight, and I thought I was able to do that.
Can you put it to bed, Nick? Are you fit or not? Have you prepared yourself like the true professional? Are you fit?
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think I'm fit. At times you're tonguing it out there. The game's going so quick, but I don't think I'm alone in that aspect, and I'll continue to grow as the season goes on, but I was just really proud of the team performance tonight.
No one can really relate what it's like to be you, the superstar player at the biggest club in Melbourne. You said you had to switch off the socials. Was that a conscious effort this week to try just focus on your own training and preparation lead up to this game?
No, I don't view myself as that. I just view myself genuinely as one of the other players, and we were all quite disappointed with our outing on Sunday. I think our fans probably deserved a little bit better too for the first game of the season, so we made a conscious effort as a team to really train hard this week, which we did. We had a great week on the track, set ourselves up so well, and then I thought the inclusion of Dan Houston, Ned Long, Lockie Sullivan, blokes like that just played a role for us, and they brought so much pressure. Like going out there with Ned Long, he was unbelievable.
Craig McRae is known for his inspirational pre-game messages. 91 points is a huge victory. Can you take us into the rooms pre-game? What was on the whiteboard, and what would Craig be very happy about tonight?
Yeah, we just wanted to get back to our processes. We wanted to take the ball forward, bring out pressure, make sure the corridor was filled. We know Port Adelaide like to go quick through the corridor, so that was an emphasis for us. But really bring our small forwards into the game, the likes of Bobby Hill, Bo McCreary. You know, you saw Jamie Elliott flying at so many marks. They're so important to us, and I think we starve them sometimes of the supply they need. So tonight it was good to get some speed on the ball. The likes of Dan Houston kicking to them, I think they enjoyed it.
Speaking of the pre-game chats, it was a fired-up Darcy Moore giving his pre-game address out on the field. There were great pictures. Can you remember what he said? There was an intensity about the skipper tonight.
Yeah, no, for sure. Darcy always revs us up every week. There's a few expletives in there, so I won't repeat exactly what he said, but no, he's great in that aspect. But I think the boys knew how important really tonight was to set up our season. We knew we were in front of the home crowd. We wanted to give them a good outing, and as I said, we did, and now we move on. We'll have a great win. We'll celebrate it with our family, and we'll move on to Friday night against the Doggies.
This is the first hit out you've had with Dan Houston. He finishes with 27 touches and 10 intercepts. He was awesome. He was exactly what you want him to be. When you see him out there working in tandem with your brother across half-back, what goes through your mind? What do you see?
Dan's an absolute star, and I think we brought him across to the club knowing what he can produce. We don't expect that every week from Dan. We've said that to him. I thought he built his game really nicely tonight off the back of some great defensive efforts, and that's all we ask. And then when he gets the ball in hand, it's game over, really. I think the way he's able to bring our small forwards and our fat side and our corridor into the game, and it's just really a joy to watch. As soon as he starts kicking, it's very nice to be on the end of.
Another addition to the football club, Tim Membry. He's been a part of your sort of three-pronged key forward attack with Brodie Mychek and Dan McStay. 10 goals out of them tonight. It must be a better look going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim, he's his own worst enemy sometimes because he works so hard that by the time the ball sort of comes in his area, I spent all his tickets. It was nice for him to get on the end of it tonight. He had the exact same game last week. He just didn't get on the end of it. We couldn't supply him last week, but his work ethic's like nothing I've seen as a key forward. The way he's able to get up the ground and provide us a bailout every single time is unbelievable. The goals are a bonus, but he's another really accurate kick. He didn't look like missing tonight.
See, they're good winners, the boys. Have a look at the rooms full of people. Where were they last week?
Exactly.
Where were they?
No, they were there. They were there.
And there are some very cute kids behind you. I don't know whether they're dancing or lurking for an autograph. So we'll let you go and enjoy with the rest of the family and friends in the change rooms. Nick Dacos, appreciate your time. Congratulations on the win tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, what a joy he is. And we can confirm He's fit.
He's fit.
He's fit.
We had a feeling that he was pretty fit. I mean, it was a strange occurrence last week, really.
Oh, I think we expected the performance from him tonight because the champions, when they get challenged, they rise to the top. And there's, like, I think he said he switched off social media, but I have no doubt it would have come back to him at some point. What was?
But then how humble he was in saying most of the commentary was fair.
Yeah, which is right, because
It's sort of confusing because he said, I didn't listen to it, but most of it was fair.
Well, it's hard to completely switch off in this digital age, isn't it? As you said, it always comes back to you somewhere. Let's turn our attention to the Ashley Martin turning point, which of course you wanted to give Tim Membry a bit more love tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty early on the turning point and a 91-point drubbing, but Tim Membry was fantastic tonight, and I think he, to be honest, if he'd had another ball one tonight after last week, he might have been questioning his the three-pronged attack for Collingwood, but he really stood up early when the game was there to be won, and Dacos just mentioned then how good of a set shot he is, and he proved this in the first quarter. It's his work rate going forward. He is a high-intensity player, and if you can get the ball in his hands inside 50, very rarely is he going to miss.
Well, these sorts of acquisitions, they're the reason why success is all club. It's all facets of your football program, your recruiting, your scouting, everything has to come in line to get this player to fill a role for your team. If they don't do that, you're almost blowing the opportunity with one man through the door, if you like. So it's very hard to attract players to your club. You get 1-2 max per year. You need them to perform. At 30 years of age, they keep saying they're not going back to the draft. Their time's now. Membry needs to be this more often than not.
Yeah, it's a direct reflection, isn't he?
100% is, because if the three tools don't work forward of centre, then it's a new strategy. They haven't got time for a new strategy. They're in it to win it this year.
So Collingwood fans are going to sleep easy tonight. Port Adelaide fans must be thinking tonight, what on earth was that? And it's going to raise serious questions about this coaching handover between Ken Hinkley and Josh Carr. Let's head into the newsroom now with Jay Clark. This is a disastrous start for Kenny's first year in charge, Jay. Their worst loss under Ken.
Yeah, it certainly is, Kath. No doubt tonight the big story is Port Adelaide after that 91-point thrashing from Collingwood, and it will ignite a blowtorch on that succession plan. There is no doubt about that. So as we know, Ken Hinkley will hand over the keys to Josh Carr at the end of the season. That has all been mapped out and in the wings probably for at least 18 months, I would say. And they have maintained that everyone has clarity on the system and in particular the leadership structure. Ken is in charge. What we saw tonight at the MCG was a white flag. There is no doubt about that. And it will prompt a lot of questions of the players. Are you believers? Are you all in on this plan and this system under Ken and Josh Carr? We've seen succession plans work at some clubs, such as Melbourne and Sydney, for example. They've also been catastrophic failures, in particular at Collingwood and maybe lesser so Essendon. So it is going to be an intense week at Port Adelaide in the Adelaide media, no doubt about that, because they got Richmond on Saturday, the wooden spooner. Yes, they were very good against Carlton on Thursday night, but if Port Adelaide can't knock off the Tigers, you'd think over there on their own deck, then there could be mutiny in Port Adelaide. There's no doubt about that. We know the crowd can be very vocal. They've booed the coach before when they haven't been happy, and it will certainly be very intense. It's a massive story, no doubt about that. You do have to give them some credit in some sense. Missing Zach Butters, Brandon Zirk, Thatcher, Todd Marshall, Asava Radagalita. So you have to have some understanding. They are missing some key players, but as Mark Howard said tonight on the call, tonight was uncompetitive in parts, and this succession plan, as you see the pictures right here, will be in the headlines all week. It is a huge story. David King, do you think this football club has made a mistake with this arrangement?
Well, this is what the slow goodbye looks like. It does create some confusion. To me, it's hard to know how it gets into your playing group or how it gets into your football club. Sometimes in the subconscious, you think everything's fine. You don't notice that you're at 99%, not 100. Absolute buy-in. And if you're just short of the mark at AFL level these days, you get whacked between the eyes. You make a decision, you rip the Band-Aid off, and you move on. Look at what the Swans have done with John Longmire. There are other ways to still treat the ex-coach or the former coach with respect. But I just think this is going to create a confusion. And in the end, it's about what they do for the 2 hours of a weekend. I couldn't care what it looks like behind the scenes and how warm and fuzzy it is inside the four walls of Port Adelaide. Being hammered by 15 goals, it's the biggest story in town.
Yeah, look, Ken Hinkley's story will be a fire that has been raging for a period of time now. We know that the South Australian media have constantly speculated about this, and I just ask the question, why? Like, why prolong it for another 12 months in full well knowing that any loss over the early part of the season, not to mention a 91-point loss in round one, will add petrol to what is a fire that has been bubbling along for a fair period of time now. And certainly, I just ask why. I commend the Swans for the way they've done it. They've ripped the Band-Aid off, and maybe it's something that Port Adelaide should have thought about.
Do you think Ken Hinkley would sit back tonight and wonder whether he should see out the season? I know people have said he's too classy to walk away, but maybe after a performance like that, he questions, is it the right move by the club for me to walk away? Is it time to just hand Josh Carr the keys?
Well, it's a question he's probably got to ask the players as well, because as Mark Howard said and Jace just alluded to, there was players that gave up tonight and look uncompetitive, and maybe he's got to ask the players why was that the case?
Yeah, I think the players are the worst judges. If you've made your decision as a football club, be strong enough. You're in the positions of power to make these calls. You've made the call. Get on with life. You can still do it in a respectful manner. The long goodbye, the slow goodbye, it doesn't work. And it's so damaging to your football program. Like, who's in charge? Whose systems has failed tonight? Is it Ken's or is it Josh's? If it's Josh's, we'll give him the keys and move on. If it's Ken's, why are you playing Ken's when you've already decided that system is time for a refresh?
And then what about when they disagree on something? Who gets the final say?
I just don't like it. It sits poorly with me, and I think the club need to sit down and work out where to from here.
Let's head to the Port Adelaide change rooms and hear from the power skipper.
All right, guys, I'm down here with the skipper, Connor Rosie. Tough start, mate. Not the way you want to start round one.
No, very disappointing. We felt good going into this week. We felt like we had a pretty good preparation game against St Kilda, and clearly Collingwood were a bit off the pace last week and came out really ready to go from the first bounce, and we weren't up to scratch. So it's pretty unfortunate, but we'll try and move on as quickly as possible. Fortunately, it is round one. We've got a long year ahead, so very disappointing, but we'll try and move on quickly.
And you just came out of a team meeting. What was the feeling like there with Kem?
Pretty similar message to what I just said. We're off the pace in our fundamental skills. We made a lot of errors. It was pretty slippery out there, and we probably didn't handle the heat very well. So, for us, it's about how quickly we can move on. It's a long year, and I mean, look at how Brisbane started the start of last year and how they finished it. So we'll try and move on quickly.
And a tough night. A couple of positives. Darcy Byrne-Jones playing a 200th game for the club. Magnificent. He's a team hero here. He's got all his family in the rooms. That's a positive.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been amazing for our footy club for a long time now. We had to battle a fair bit to get his chance early on, and he just means everything to us. And to see him have 200 games tonight with his family and friends here is definitely a positive to take out of it.
Well, enjoy that, and have a good one, man. Thanks. I know it's tough.
Well, he said it's a long year, it's only one game, but it's going to be a long week sitting on that result, isn't it?
Yeah, he's talking about Brisbane. They lost by 1 point, 20 points and 23 points. They didn't lose by 91. It's chess and checkers. You can't compare the two. This loss questions everything at your footy club. It's what it does. It questions the coaching, the overall strategy, the system, the application of players. These sort of losses, you have to go back to absolute ground zero and work out what the problem is before you can improve.
Well, it sets up for an incredible game next week. Obviously, the Tigers rolling Carlton in round one on Thursday night, but next Super Saturday versus Port Adelaide, 4:15 the afternoon game. And if they drop that one, watch out.
Gee, we've had some ugly losses today, haven't we? Fremantle and Port Adelaide. Well, we've got a full review coming up next of the other game this evening in Melbourne, under the lid at Marble Stadium. The decimated Dogs, they got the job done by 16 points over North Melbourne. We'll review that.
All right, folks, that's it. There's a bit of a wrap-up of the game tonight. The Magpies too strong, 21-10, 136, defeating Port Adelaide 6-9-45. It was a one-act affair. The Pies back to their brilliant best. That's what we like to see. Happy Collingwood supporters out there. The Pies in the final quarter put on 5 goals, 1. Port Adelaide could only manage 1 goal, 4. And just before we go, folks, I know you've probably been hanging out for the stats here. let's go and have a look at the final look at the goal scorers. If you were interested in that, of course, Tim Membry led the way with 4 goals there for the Pies. Brody Myercheck with 3, with Daniel McStay with 3, Maynard with 2, Bobby Hill with 2, Jamie Elliott with 2, Lachlan Sullivan, side bottom, Schultz, Lipinski, and Nick Dacos with 1. For Port Adelaide, only single goal scorers, Jordan Sweet, Rioli, Lucasy, Jason Horn Francis, and Darcy Byrne Jones with Travis Boak, all single goal scorers. Let's have a look at the disposal getters. Who was leading the way at the end of the game? Well, Connor Rosé for Port Adelaide led the way with 35 disposals, 19 kicks, 16 handballs. Had a pretty good game with Ollie Wines, 34. For Collingwood, it was still side bottom leading the way for the Pies with 31 touches. The old boy had a cracker of a game, 16 kicks, 15 handballs. Travis Boak next best on 28. And for those Dacos fans out there, Nick Dacos, 26 touches, 19 kicks, 7 handballs, 6 marks, 1 tackle, 4 clearances, 1 goal, 1. And of course for Josh Dacos, 26 touches, 11 kicks, 15 handballs. There we go. That was some of your top contenders for the disposal getters. There we go. If you want to have a quick look as I just browse down here. There we go. Braden Maynard, of course, 14. 12 kicks, a couple of goals there for the Pies. Ray Burton there, 13 for Port Adelaide. Willie Rioli, just with the 12 touches. Finished with 1 goal, 1. Alir, 12 disposals down back there for Port. Darcy Moore, just the 10 disposals, 8 kicks, 2 handballs, 7 marks. Bobby Hill ended up with 10 disposals for the game with a couple of goals. He did well, alongside Jamie Elliott also. Darcy Byrne-Jones just with a 9. And there we go. Scotty Pendlebury, he come on just before the end of the third quarter as a sub, 8 disposals, 3 kicks, 5 handballs. He kicked it behind there. Just a quick wrap up of the team stats. Not too much in it at the end. 24 to the Pies in disposal count. 192, 223 in the kicks. Port Adelaide, 7 more in the handballs. Inside 50s, big numbers there. 65 to the Pies and 48 to Port Adelaide. So both teams had plenty of chance. Disposal efficiency around the ground. Pies doing it pretty well at 75.5. Port Adelaide, 70. Not too bad there. Inside 50 was pretty good though for the Pies. 53.8, a little bit low for Port. Free kicks all tied up pretty much, 19-18. Hit outs, the clearances, centre clearances, stoppage clearances, all reasonably tight in that aspect. Contested possessions, there's not much in it, was there? Port Adelaide just turned over the ball 13 more times than the Maggies. Getting to the marks, here we go, the Pies by 7, marks inside 50. Both teams had plenty of marks inside 50, 17 to 12, plus 5 to the Pies. But the contested mark, Pies stronger in the air, 11 to 2. Just having a look at the tackles there. Tackles, Pies did pretty well, 68 with a 53 average. Port Adelaide, 43. Of course, inside 50 tackles for the Pies. 14 to 6, who did it well. But that is the game where Collingwood took on Port Adelaide at the MCG and gave Port Adelaide a little bit of a spanking there. It was the Pies by 91 points, 21-10, 136, defeating Port Adelaide 6-9-45. Now, just before we go, I want to just have a look and see. I want to see and look if the ladder has been updated. All right, let me just bring this over. Let's have a look at the updated ladder as it sits. As we're a few games in, we are already 4 games in. 6 games in, I should say. 6 games into round 1, plus the opening round. Hawthorn sit on top of the ladder, played 2 games, 2 wins. Geelong Cats, they've played 1 for a win. GWS Giants sitting 3rd. Collingwood with the first loss on the opening round. They bounced back strongly to take a win tonight. Move them up into 4th position. Richmond with a miracle win, of course, up into 5th. Western Bulldogs 6th. Brisbane Lions with victory today 7th. And of course, Sydney Swans, who have already played 2 games and lost 2, are in 8th position because of percentage. and the rest of the teams have played one. Adelaide, Gold Coast, Melbourne, St Kilda, the Eagles all still yet to play a game this season. Tomorrow, folks, we've got some games coming up. Adelaide taking on St Kilda at 12:35 Melbourne time. That's at Adelaide Oval. Then we've got Melbourne taking on the GWS Giants. That should be a good game at the MCG. We saw how GWS Giants played last week. They did really good. They doubled the score of Collingwood. So it'll be interesting to see how they go down in Melbourne on the MCG. And of course, tomorrow night, rounding out round one, we've got West Coast Eagles taking on Gold Coast. So that should be another good game there over in Perth. Some games to look forward to tomorrow. But it was another good day of footy today. Of course, winners today were Geelong, who defeated Fremantle. Brisbane defeating Sydney by 4 points. And, of course, tonight's game. Hang on, let me go back there for 1 second. Western Bulldogs defeating North Melbourne by 16 points. And, of course, Collingwood over Port Adelaide by 91 points here at the MCG on a hot, balmy evening with a pretty big crowd. Must have been about, I would say, about 75,000 in tonight in the crowd. It was a cracking game for all Magpie supporters. All right, folks, that's all I got for this one. I'm going to wrap this one up. I'll see everyone at the next game. Ciao for now. Thanks very much. And by the way, we got the voting right. 75% voted for the Pies tonight. 25% went for Port Adelaide. So the voting, everyone in the chat, you got it right again. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next game.